Hello and welcome to Gamescom 2024. I am Simon Copa.
The biggest video game convention on Earth is back, and IGN will be there to cover every second.
Welcome back to IGN Live at Gamescom.
The coolest new games.
Tons of world premieres. It's awesome to be here at Gamescom.
Gamescom 2024.
Keep advancing, broker.
And I'm in.
Doors and corners, broker.
Lights on, nobody home.
I'm getting blue night readings off the chart.
Nice.
Knock, knock.
Broker, snap out of it.
Okay.
Damn!
Stay frosty.
Seriously? No.
Broker, slow down. Get back in the fight. Use this. Make your own rules. Time for new rules.
Let's go, baby.
Go out your best and us to go home alone. I've been known to change the ozone. No continuing with it. Break it down every minute. You run up and change the floor to the ceiling. Step by step, we still get it. You keep applying, jumping in a dragon's breath. We're under fire, but you still should fear us. My squad ready for war. It's time. Perseverance, get the squad ready and lock your gear on. Together, stand strong. Fight for good night. Play your cards right. We're on the rise. It's down the stars.
Knock, knock. Guess who's coming to dinner? Say hello to my little friend. Say goodnight, Gracie. Love this. Wait, no, wait. No, not there. See? No, please. Hey, maybe we can.
I'm here at Summer Games Fest, and I just got to play a game that was on my schedule as unannounced military FPS. Well, that game was Frag, and it is freaking awesome.
Time for new rules.
Let's go, baby.
I went in with sort of mixed expectations. It's like a card game. How is this all going to work? Well, here's how it goes. Basically, you start every match, you get a set of 3 cards, and you can reshuffle the deck, so to speak, and get a different 3 if you want. But we would usually go with whatever we got. When we started out, they had it on easy bots, and I'm like, put the bots on the hardest mode so that we can actually get a game going here. Humble brag, right? That said, the gameplay was really, really solid. It was reminding me sort of Valorant, for lack of a better term. It is a one-shot, snipe to the head, you're dead, you don't get to come back until the next round shooter. And the card mechanic is really interesting. There was one instance where we on Defender and we had having to get big head mode. I switched my loadout to be sniper, and of course, I jumped on top of a wall where I could just see the edge of their domes coming in, and got 3 kills, had a great time doing that, obviously. But the card mechanic is so interesting. There was another card we utilized where at the start of the game, and by the way, you pick all of the cards before you even get into gameplay. So as a team, you can vote, yeah, I want this, don't pick this one. We want to spend our gems to unlock these because they're more conducive to our loadout as a team. So you pick your cards and then you go into battle. And another one that we got was you were able to break the card at some point in battle and reveal where the enemy was. So it's introducing cheat codes into the gameplay mechanics of a shooter like Valorant, but in sort of a fun way. And while you have these interesting buffs, the teammates also have interesting buffs, and they can counter your attacks, which happened many times in our playthrough, where the enemy would have extra bullet damage, so we go in and we just get nuked, right? It's so fun. It's such an interesting spin on the FPS genre, and it feels really smooth to play. It feels like a super polished FPS, which I was super surprised by. I thought it would be earlier in development, but this feels ready to go. So hopefully the public can get their hands on it sooner rather than later. There's a ton of heroes to choose from. I particularly went with one that could turn invisible, and if you were able to like sneak behind people, you could do a takedown. And there are counters to that hero also, where you can send out this wave wall, so to speak, and expose where that character's location is. But do not sleep on this game. This game is very, very fun. I think people are really going to like it when it comes out. And I can't believe it was here. I actually asked to stay longer in the demo so I could play more. Yeah, that's never happened. Definitely don't sleep on Frag Punk. Check it out. And for more on all things gaming, keep it right here at IGN.
Marvel Rivals is not attempting to reinvent the wheel. When it was first unveiled earlier this year, the gut response from fans and skeptics alike was that it looked a whole lot like an Overwatch facsimile with licensed Marvel heroes and villains filling in the roles abdicated by Genji, Winston, and Roadhog. After jumping into the closed beta for a few hours, I can confirm all of those suspicions. This is a hero shooter that has studied the established formula hard, but so far, that has resulted in an experience that's flashy, polished, and ready to get under your skin. Like most multiplayer games, Marvel Rivals glosses over the specifics for why this alliance of superheroes has decided to beat each other to death over a variety of team-based objectives. It has something to do with a partnership between 2 different versions of Dr. Doom. Beyond that, who knows? But everything else here should be very familiar to anyone who spent time in a big, bouncy arena shooter. You'll be split into 2 teams of 6 players, with rosters categorized into basic tank, support, and DPS roles, all of whom are blessed with a variety of unique abilities and an ultimate that charges up over the course of the game.
Spider Click!
Victory will be achieved if you can move a payload to the end of its route, or if you're able to camp on a control point, and all of the action takes place in blooming battlefields plucked from the greater Marvel canon.
Another epic victory!
Remind you of anything? Yes, Rivals takes its cues from Overwatch much more than it does from Valorant or Team Fortress 2. The tactics here aren't built around twitchy gunplay. In fact, a sizable chunk of its cast aren't wielding firearms at all, and across the board, they tend to absorb a ton of bullets before keeling over.
Team play! That's me!
Naturally, that makes Rivals more approachable to those who are turned off from traditional shooters. Do you want to toss up protective magical barriers and weave portals to teleport around the map? Doctor Strange might become your main.
A shortcut through space.
Better look behind you!
Would you rather bring a wide arsenal of munitions to the fight to try to win with your well-hewn Call of Duty skills? Then the Punisher might be more your speed.
Smoke up!
The asymmetry in each of these heroes is genuinely staggering. Developer NetEase has clearly dedicated a lot of time and resources into making sure the vividness of the Marvel fantasy is able to come to life within the narrow confines of a hero shooter. Consider Iron Man, who operates like a mobile artillery unit, throwing out huge splashes of damage to anyone below him.
Maximum pulse!
Sweet moves, right?
Star-Lord, meanwhile, has 2 blasters in his holster that automatically reload whenever he dashes forward. String those together correctly and you can absolutely melt the life bar of whoever was unlucky enough to be caught out of position.
Who's the man? Ah, yeah.
Rivals also does a good job of emphasizing one of the greatest traditions in comic books: team-up abilities, where 2 heroes combine their strengths and start wrecking shop. These are character specific and they often play off of the relationship between the heroes within the Marvel Universe as a whole. For instance, Rocket Raccoon can leap onto the shoulders of his old pal Groot, hooking him up with damage reduction and added mobility.
Hey, nice view from up here.
It's a cool wrinkle and one that sounds difficult to balance. Ideally, at high levels, Marvel Rivals won't boil down to matches that feature a prescribed set of established synergies and still allow players to express their own creativity with their compositions.
I know I'm having a great time.
Because even now, in its unfinished state, Marvel Rivals is beautifully rendered. The characters are all gorgeously exaggerated and rippling with muscles, far more reminiscent of a comic shop in 1997 than anything from the MCU. The maps themselves are equally resplendent and surprisingly modular. Take aim at a wall and you might be able to blast it to smithereens.
Scourge grenade!
And perhaps most importantly, Rivals seems equally attuned to the whims of a select few esports adjacent diehards and those who simply want to burn off a weeknight crushing the opposition with the Hulk. The package that NetEase has put together here is rock solid. Let's hope it stays thrilling when it jumps to live servers.
Whoa, did you see that? Bring the bad guy.
For more previews of the biggest upcoming games, don't miss our hands-on impressions of Concord and Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. And for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN. This could be a one-sentence video, really. I got to play a solid dozen matches against the CPU of Battle Mode, one of a few different modes in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, the upcoming fighting game built around DBZ's most famous and recognizable heroes and villains. Here's the key sentence. It absolutely feels like getting to play a battle from the legendary anime. That is both the most obvious thing I can say about it and the exact sentence that I imagine most DBZ fans want to hear. After choosing your fighter, and there are dozens of variations of well-known characters here, you choose one of over half a dozen stages to battle on, study up on your special moves, and then enter the arena. And once you get there, you'd be forgiven if you thought you were watching an episode of the anime. The cel-shaded visuals are note perfect to the show, and the animation equally helps sell the idea that your eyes are looking at a pre-baked episode of television and not a real-time interactive experience. But indeed you are. Once you start moving around and attacking, it really locks in as a Dragon Ball battle versus being a traditional one-on-one fighting game on a 2D plane. Not only can you fly anywhere you want, including launching yourself quite high in the air with a press of the left shoulder button, but you can quickly and easily unleash environment-destroying attacks like Goku's Meteor Smash that will reduce half a cliffside to a pile of dust in an instant. The goal, the Bandai Namco folks told me, was to make players feel as powerful as possible. Mission accomplished there. If you choose Custom Battle, you can set very unique victory conditions, lending an extra bit of opportunity to recreate your favorite confrontations from the anime, whether you're fighting Piccolo, Raditz, or one of dozens of other characters. I scrolled through the list and there is truly an insane number of options here. Also, Bandai Namco was quick to point out that local multiplayer will be available on day one for both early access and DBSZ's formal 1.0 launch. Even after just a dozen or so matches against the CPU, it became clear to me that Dragon Ball Super fans who are exceptionally good at fighting games, or those who intend to practice a lot with Sparking Zero, are going to find themselves having a great time crushing their competition. For more on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, don't miss the new release date trailer as well as the reveal trailer, and for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.
Let me tell you what you are missing, Dr. Jones. While you were playing your pointless game, I was playing you. You're wondering if maybe you should have built yourself a life of meaning instead of ending up here, dead and forgotten in the sense of Africa.
Myths, history, just different ways to interpret the past. Thousands of years of humanity's thoughts and beliefs, scattered and buried, just waiting to be found.
Can't just run away from your problems, Indiana.
Watch me. Throughout history, mankind has built sites of great spiritual significance. If you were to draw a line through these ancient sites around the globe, you get a perfectly aligned circle. I've had run-ins with these guys before. Trust me, it ain't a walk in the park.
Okay, then. Let's see if you can keep up.
What do you mean if I could keep up? Patron of the fallen angels, protector of the Chukulimani, the Great Circle. You have any idea how old that was?
Play it day one with Game Pass.
The 1997 cult classic movie Starship Troopers by director Paul Verhoeven is a relentless war film that leans heavily into the spectacle and over-the-top nature of intergalactic warfare. With the upcoming Starship Troopers Extermination from Beyond the Wire publisher Off-World Industries, the video game adaptation seeks to expand upon the film's chaotic and gory combat sequences for its focus on co-op squad-based action. I got an early look at Extermination ahead of its early access release on May 17th and saw its unique blend of large-scale combat and tower defense-style gameplay firsthand. And so far, it has the makings for a compelling twist on the original film's concept of soldiers out of their depth being thrust headfirst into a fight against an endless swarm of alien bugs.
Once your boot's on the ground, the infestation will feel relentless.
Extermination takes place decades after the original film and sees a new division of Deep Space Vanguards face off against the extremely hostile alien species known as the Arachnids, otherwise known as bugs. The squad of troopers takes on a variety of resource gathering and bug hunt missions, all while facing off against an onslaught of vicious arachnids that can easily tear your squad apart. The main loop focuses on running and gunning against the bugs, capturing territory, and building bases and ammo depots to mostly even the playing field against the opposition. Before each game, you get to choose from one of 3 different class types: the jetpack-wearing assault class, a heavy class that can pull up a mobile shield to hunker down and lay down suppressive fire on bugs, and a support unit that can call up medic drones to heal the squad. When the action goes off, Extermination features some solid shooting and team mechanics at work, including a helpful ping system. But as the infestation level increases, more bugs and new variants appear, pushing the need for more focused tactics and class skills to survive. The sheer scale of the onslaught can be overwhelming, especially when some of the sneakier bugs catch you off guard. But Extermination is fairly generous with the revives and respawns, allowing you and the squad to quickly get back into the action. On the surface, this setup is quite the norm for most other co-op focused shooters such as Warhammer 40,000 Darktide or the Left 4 Dead series. However, what Starship Troopers Extermination leans into is the sheer scale of the battlefield and the conflict. With large player counts of 16, battles are out in the open, forcing you and your squad to keep on the move to knock out the randomized objectives that take you to different areas of the field. While I did feel that there was some extended downtime in between objectives, which resulted in uneventful stretches of running around, the game's dynamic pacing and encounters mostly keeps a steady flow going. One of Extermination's most interesting additions is the surprisingly robust and engaging base building system. At the key building points across the map, your team can rapidly build structures to create defensive perimeters, traps, and vantage points for your group to defend yourselves against the swarm of bugs. During my hands-on, I worked diligently to get a wall in place, but as soon as I turned out, the rest of the base's defenses were already built up by the rest of the squad. My favorite moments from the preview session all came from the final sequences of each match, which focus on hunkering down to defend a derelict base and wait for evacuation. These blend the tower defense gameplay with intense close quarters action, balancing the need to repair structures while gunning down the bugs trying to get inside. The final push, no matter how well prepared we were, always felt intense and challenging and making for an exciting capper to each round. I really enjoyed the relentless nature of Starship Troopers Extermination, which captures the film's breakneck pace. At times, though, I did feel that its heightened action made some battles feel a bit too overwhelming to keep up with. Still, getting into the thick of it reminded me of the more intense moments from the movie, which the game captures so well. The upcoming early access release puts the game in a great place to refine its mechanics and develop its overall tone and vibe. At launch, the game will have its core map and set of classes, with new content dropping within the first year. While it often spends time recreating those movie moments, which is what many film fans no doubt want, there are periods where the game's original idea shows promise, and that was exciting to see. For more on Starship Troopers Extermination, check out the most recent trailer, and for everything else in the world of video games, head on over to IGN.
And remember, the only good bug is a dead bug.
Welcome to Obsidian Entertainment. I'm so proud to share with you our upcoming fantasy action RPG, Avowed. Avowed is an adventure into the heart of the Living Lands, a frontier at the edge of the known world, where you must put a stop to a mysterious spiritual plague and discover a secret at the heart of the Living Lands. At Obsidian, we love creating worlds with deep themes, dynamic gameplay, and thoughtful reactivity. And Avowed is no different. We set out to blend the believable and fantastical to give players a world and experience like no other. It's colorful, it's vibrant, it's strange. It's one of the most incredible settings in the world of Aora. There's going to be a lot of great secrets to discover, one of which has a really personal connection to you as the player character, and you're going to have a great time getting to know those secrets and leaving your mark on the world. And when it comes to encounters, our combat brings the best of the moment-to-moment fun that comes with action-oriented gameplay and the depth and breadth of choice that you get with an RPG. Here to talk more about Avowed's combat is Gabriel Paramo, gameplay director.
Here at Obsidian, our team's overarching goal is to empower you with choice. So we developed a flexible combat system that allows you to quickly swap from spellcasting and sharpshooting to melee combat. We want to give you the freedom to mix and match your loadout to fit the way you want to play from moment to moment, uninterrupted. For all battles, you can combine a variety of weapons, attacks, and abilities for tactical advantages against a wide range of enemy types. It's not just hacking and slashing. You're making real-time decisions about when to use your abilities, powerful melee attacks, blocks, parries, and special attacks. If you choose to approach combat with a one-handed wand, it feels quick and snappy when dealing damage to enemies at mid-range. Using the Tanglefoot ability, you can stop enemies in their tracks, giving you the opportunity to focus on weaker or tougher combatants in an intentional and controlled manner. It's important to pay attention to the types of enemies you're dealing with. Some units are extremely defensive, some are brutishly difficult, and others you must make sure you prioritize or their healing capabilities will put you in a tough spot. To help with the different encounters you will face, we provide customizable loadouts that can be quickly switched during combat. That means you can play however you want. Equip a sword and shield and charge into battle. Dual-wield pistols and control the encounter mid-range. Or even dual-wield wands to feel like a gunslinging mage. You could use your enchanted wand to freeze enemies and then use your offhand weapon's power attack to shatter them. We've worked hard to keep you constantly engaged as battles unfold by creating a balance between pressure and manageability during combat.
Players will have ample choices for how to build and progress their envoy in the world of the living lands as they get to know the game and the story and explore the many diverse regions. Some quests in Avowed will have you make difficult decisions with profound consequences, like this side quest you may encounter in Shatterscarp, the third region you'll explore on your journey through the living lands. As you're exploring, you come across the bodies of these fallen soldiers, and as you explore the remains of the battle, it's up to you to determine who, if anyone, is at fault.
Just the four of us. Manu, Kiri, Naoki, and me. Training under Captain Ruiki, trying to keep Thirdborn safe.
In other words, you're a gang of vigilantes. Not that I'm one to judge.
Here. Take my badge. Take everyone's. Our families deserve to know we fought and died for them.
Making the right choice isn't always what it seems. We embrace moral nuance and gray areas, trusting players to make tough decisions in complicated situations.
My squad and I rested in the cave by the water last night, and as we were sleeping, we were ambushed by those miserable Zorips. I was so surprised, and it was so dark. I just got separated from everyone else. Look, I can't face those monsters alone, but I have to know if anyone else made it out. Of course he did. Sergeant Asui never has a thought he won't say out loud. So what did he tell you? That Captain Ruiki was sick? That I was paranoid? That I was a dumb baby? I heard it all often and loudly. Wait, if you found Sergeant Asui, why is he not here with you? What happened?
At the end of the quest, you have a choice. When you confront Private Naoki, if you believe the story he's told you, you can hand over the badges and let him go back home.
You're right. Real battle isn't something you can prepare for, is it? It's not my fault. No, they should have never have camped in the cave. I'll take the badges. I'm going back to Thirdborn.
But if you confront him, if you believe that he fled the site of the battle as an act of cowardice, then he might challenge you to a fight to reclaim his honor. Either way, when you return to town, you'll see the consequences of your actions and the choices you made during this quest. Creating an immersive experience like Avowed is anchored in the world we build. Art director Matt Hansen and the team have worked to create a unique, colorful, and dynamic visual style.
From the outset, we knew that we wanted Avowed setting to feel rich, weird, and wonderful. we found inspiration in a wide swath of real-world cultures, helping us create a unique RPG experience. By contrasting the vibrant with the dull, or verdant spaces with sickly ones, we can better deliver complex emotional experiences for our players. The Living Lands is a continent of untamed valleys with widely varied biomes, from luxuriant forests to volcanic wastes, and each of those regions itself is a conflux of storied landscapes. All of the regions have a lot of special things associated with them, but I have a deep place in my heart for Shatterscarp. As you're wandering the wastes of Shatterscarp, you might notice off in the distance a vibrant jewel of color. By transitioning from destitute, muted tones of a wasteland of sand and marching in towards a beautiful oasis, there's the opportunity there for life, for adventure, and even a little danger.
We hope you've enjoyed this look at Avowed. We're thrilled to share more about the game in the coming months, and we can't wait for you to explore the Living Lands when Avowed launches this fall.
Back in 2022, I previewed World of Warcraft's last expansion, Dragonflight, in a press pre-alpha situation. I'm always hesitant to glowingly recommend an entire MMORPG expansion based on brief early alpha storyline play and not the sum of its content. But Dragonflight felt exceptional out of the gate, and it was, largely thanks to the transformative new dragon riding mechanic and other major changes that shook off the dust from the widely panned Shadowlands expansion. Blizzard designed the Dragon Isles with bombast in mind, and my very early experiences zipping around them adequately conveyed the sense of increased scale and majesty that would carry throughout the entire expansion. Looking at The War Within's pre-alpha by comparison, I'm not quite as enraptured. I don't dislike it, to be clear. Largely, it just feels like more World of Warcraft, which is fine. And it's impossible at this stage to say if my muted feelings are because of anything particularly sinful about the new expansion, or just because I've seen so little of it.
Something, someone, is calling out from the heart of the world.
We cannot let the world fall to darkness.
Earlier this week, I played roughly 90 minutes or so of story content in the first zone, the Isle of Dorn. Most of this involved a very linear, fast-paced storyline, chasing some dwarf factions around to put a council together and fight a familiar Warcraftian race of evil bug people. World of Warcraft veterans will encounter nothing shocking here. Kill 12 enemies, rescue 6 dudes, clean up rubble, find Bran Bronzebeard, blow up Nerubian nests with kegs of explosive alcohol, you know, the usual stuff. The Isle of Dorn story I saw played out very fast, possibly due to numerous quests that have yet to be implemented in the early alpha build, but also it might be because the surface of Dorn itself is potentially the least exciting zone of the War Within. I wish I had incentive to explore more of it on foot, honestly, as I think I would have enjoyed it more, but having dynamic flying available right out of the gate means I spent a lot of time zooming from town to town and almost no time happily getting lost. I don't know. Dorn is fine, I guess. It's a greenish island with some mountains and caves and forests and dwarven architecture, and a good chunk of the space is given up to the new capital city, Dornogal. All of the biggest, most exciting backdrops that Blizzard has teased for the War Within are located deep underground in Khazalgar, the expansion's surprising new vertical, not horizontal series of zones. Blizzard has mentioned a massive Titan industrial complex, an ancient Nerubian city, and a subterranean cavern lit by a massive crystal sun. I want to go there. I also ran a dungeon, but the Rookery was not what I would call the most enthralling display of World of Warcraft dungeoning I've ever seen. It wasn't bad, it was just fine. There's a fight where you have to jump into a pit when you get hit by lightning, and another where a big guy pops out of some water and dumps darkness all over you. I didn't get a chance to try the other alpha-enabled dungeon, Cinderbrew Meadery, in time to write this preview, but given how much I liked Storm Stout Brewery in Mists of Pandaria, I expect it might have sparked a little more excitement. Delves, a brand new feature, were a bit more interesting. Aided by an NPC companion, you, and up to 4 others if you so choose, essentially do a mini dungeon focused on collecting treasure. Each delve I completed made use of a unique mechanic. A kobold-themed delve forced me to watch my steps in a health-sapping darkness so my candle wouldn't burn out, and a Nerubian-themed delve was covered in enemy-summoning spiderwebs. I like the principle of delves, especially as a player who enjoys relaxing with solo exploration-focused content and fondly remembers my withered running away a few expansions ago. Blizzard only offered limited options in the alpha, so the few delves I was able to try got repetitive pretty fast, but I'm optimistic as to the possibilities once everything opens up at launch.
Don't step in those webs. Nerubians might pop out if you do.
Finally, hero talents. Look, I'm not a theory crafter or anything, but I'm not convinced just yet that they're going to drastically transform gameplay. It's at least a nice, simple system. Level up, get talent point, put in talent tree, done. No grinds for artifact power, no corruption dice rolls, no farming soul ash every week. As a busy adult, that's a huge relief. I don't know if the long-term solution to World of Warcraft's need for continual character growth is to keep slapping more talent trees on top of talent trees, though. So I'm curious as to what the much longer-term plans for the system are. And as someone enamored with the idea of class fantasy, I can't help but long for a little more flavor for my elemental shaman. Sure, it's neat to summon little ghosties by using my most powerful spell, but is there more to it than just powering these ghosts up? Is this the upgrade I'm stuck with for the next 2 years? Will the totemic path be totally different and let me do some cool totem dropping play? There are still loads of questions we won't see answered until later in the alpha or even the beta. Patience. I probably sound a little down on the War Within, but I really do think most of my hesitation comes from how immediately stunning Dragonflight was in 2022 and how little I've seen of the War Within so far. I'll leave this preview with 2 optimistic thoughts. First, we didn't get to see the introductory scenario to the War Within, but based on the aftermath I started in, which I won't spoil, but you can see in the video footage if you look closely, the inciting incident of this expansion is mad bonkers and has some wild implications. So I'm very, very interested to see where they take it. Second, toward the end of my demo, a quest seemed to suggest I needed to descend into Khazalgar to proceed, so I dove down on my dragon into the Coreway tunnels. A barrier prevented me from going further into the next zone, but I got the briefest taste of the sheer depth we're dealing with here, and it genuinely got my heart beating faster. I was momentarily reminded of Zeralet Caverns from Dragonflight, but the sheer depth I was zooming into gave me an overwhelming sense that the whole thing was about to open up into something huge. What that hugeness was, I never saw, but I love the idea of a vertical continent, and it makes me hopeful that Blizzard has some neat ideas to give both Khazalgar and the War Within more depth than I saw from the surface. For more, check out our previews of Hellblade 2 and The Rogue Prince of Persia. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
The biggest video game convention on Earth is back, and IGN will be there to cover every second.
Welcome back to IGN Live at Gamescom.
The coolest new games.
Tons of world premieres. It's awesome to be here at Gamescom.
Gamescom 2024.
Are you sure you want to investigate these things?
I can't let this go. It could be the best kept secret in history.
What are you going to do, Indiana?
These artifacts have a deep connection to something in the past. Boss believes they hold a kind of power. A discovery that could change the world.
What were you doing out there?
Fresh air! We have to find the stones, Gina. Or they will. If you were to draw a line through these ancient sites around the globe, you'd get a perfectly aligned circle.
The Great Circle.
Exactly.
I intercepted a Morse code coming from the Himalayas.
Our boss is sending all of his men.
Is that a...
Battleship? Yep. Let's get a closer look.
Gotta find the stone and get off this ship.
What's that in his hands? What does it say?
Earth something. What was that?
We'd better hide. Hey, tú! Ciao.
Hands behind your head. Where's the stone, you American rat?
What stone?
Have you ever heard of Höhenangst?
Fear of heights?
Yes! And I have it. I endured this dreadful mountain even if my mind was screaming every step of the way. Because of a concept you narrow-minded Americans will never understand! Devotion. Total and absolute devotion to the fatherland. You have no purpose. What you have is your stupid American cartoons. Choo-choo, choo-choo. Ha 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 ha. You laugh and dance, celebrating your own idiocy and drinking the piss you call beer. I will walk through fire for the devoted men of the Reich. Give me that stone. Now!
Can't give you what I don't have.
I shall search your corpse to make sure!
Wait! Please wait.
Give me the stone.
Gina.
We gotta get out of here.
Help me!
Dad, the stone! The stone!
Gina! Haltet sie auf! Erschießt sie!
Hab dich.
Play it day one with Game Pass.
As soon as we find a good spot, we can get things set up and ready to go. And then we can get started. This is gonna be great!
You bet.
I hope we find them soon. heard of a Karatnoth herd this big before. One of them's got big spikes on its back.
Now to lead it away from the pack. We'll make for the desert.
Right! The sandstorm! Now commencing the hunt by order of the guild.
Selected you as a lead hunter for this expedition.
Thank you, sir.
There's nothing quite like the moment right before sitting down to see a new Civilization game for the first time, particularly since this is the longest we've ever had to wait for a new one. And I'm happy to say I came away with a pretty positive outlook on Civilization 7. It's a more daring, risky take on the formula than any of the past few iterations have been, and I think that's definitely the way to go, considering those older games aren't going anywhere and are still quite playable. From ages that completely transform your chosen civ, to a bold, readable, but grounded new art style, Firaxis is already putting their best foot forward. The historical 4X space has gotten a lot more crowded since Civ 6, and it seems apparent that Firaxis has been paying attention to what others dipping a toe into the genre have been doing. That leads us to the biggest single change Civ 7 is introducing. Like in 2020's Humankind, you won't be playing a single civilization for your entire campaign.
The radiance of the new world came into being bathed in nectar.
There are 3 distinct ages: Antiquity, Exploration, and Modern. The devs were quick to point out that ages aren't exactly equivalent to eras in past Civ games, since they're quite a bit longer and more distinct. By turn 125 on standard speed, I was still in 1150 BC according to the RP clock, for instance. A campaign should take about the same amount of time as in past Civ games. You'll pick a new Civ to play for each age, with its own bonuses, units, and map graphics. The thing that will stay with you is your initial choice of leader, a 3D avatar for your entire campaign that comes with their own set of permanent bonuses. The leaders themselves remain visually consistent throughout the ages. You won't see Hatshepsut in a pantsuit in modern times, for instance, and they're all civilization agnostic. Hatshepsut's bonuses synergize well with those of ancient Egypt, so you'll have some incentive to match a leader to their historical civ if you're min-maxing, but you can play her as the leader of any of the starting antique civs. After all, you might be finishing the campaign as the United States, so there will be some mixing and matching regardless.
Sed tandem aedificabo marmoream urbem ubi ante alateres.
Firaxis is also taking the opportunity to include some leaders who weren't necessarily top-level political figures this time, so we don't end up with just the exact same cast we've seen over and over again. Ben Franklin was specifically called out, though I didn't get to see him fully animated in 3D yet.
When falls the Colosseum, Rome shall fall.
What isn't totally agnostic is your choice of a new civ in the coming age, addressing one of my gripes with Humankind, that you could go from Celts to Chinese with little or no narrative context. Every starting civ will have at least one natural path that's always available to them. Egypt can naturally transition into Songhai and then Buganda, but everyone can also potentially earn access to certain later age civs that are unlocked by gameplay choices. For example, cultivating several horse resources in Antiquity can allow you to become the Mongols for the Exploration Age. Other interesting progression paths mentioned included starting as Rome, then becoming the Normans, and finally ending as England.
हम अशोक ही संसार के मध्य बिंदु के एगो महान राजा.
Transitioning between ages will come with a period of crisis, and I got to see just the beginning of one of them for Antiquity, which was called The Rising Storm. Depicting the fall of the great empires of old, it required me to take one crisis policy card, similar to Civ 6's Dark Ages, where all of them were bad, so it was definitely a pick your poison moment. At the same time, new groups of independent people, who have completely replaced barbarians and city-states, but can act like either one depending on what state of development they're in, and can be dealt with militarily or diplomatically, started spawning around my hinterlands. Transitioning to a new age doesn't only give you new mechanical bonuses though. Lead designer Ed Beach used the city of London as an example of how you build cities in Civ 7. Comparing maps of Roman London to medieval London, very little of the former city is left standing, and the same is true if you compare medieval London to modern London. New civilizations are built over the ruins of the past, and through a concept called overbuilding, that's literally what we'll be doing in the later ages of Civ 7. Cities are still sprawled across multiple tiles like in Civ 6, but there are now only two types of districts, urban and rural. Urban districts can hold up to 2 buildings at the start of antiquity, increasing over time, and might gain special meta attributes based on what you build there. For Egypt, I was able to establish a unique funerary district by building both of their Civ unique buildings in the same place. So unlike Civ 6, a science district isn't a thing you plop down that is going to start out being focused entirely on science. It's just an urban district that you have chosen to specialize towards science with synergistic buildings.
Preparing the lands for new growth. Here, Egypt will compel the world to behold the wonders it works.
Rural districts are more or less what used to be called tile improvements. Remember builders? They're gone. Moving citizens around between tiles? Also gone. Instead, what now happens is when you would gain a new citizen through population growth, you immediately are prompted to plop down a new district, which will be empty if it's urban. You still need to spend production on city buildings. Or possibly add a specialist to an existing district if you've unlocked the civics for it. In the build I played, you could only place districts adjacent to existing ones, which on the one hand creates tighter and more believable urban cores. I didn't really think this restriction made sense for rural districts though. I'd like to be able to place those a bit further out, since the look of outlying farms and mines spread around my city center, I think, creates a really nice scene. And the way it is currently, you can't really save room for future urban sprawl. So I ended up with kind of a weird looking checkerboard of urban and rural, which doesn't feel especially authentic. Settling new cities also now starts them out as a town, which doesn't have a production queue and instead turns all of its production into gold. You can still buy things directly in a town with gold, and the cost of upgrading it to a full city will be reduced by how much you've built it up this way already. I found this to be a nice option for expansion, since I don't really like managing 15 different production queues. Overall, Civ 7 looks great so far. Civ 6's art style was, shall we say, divisive, and I was more on the negative side for sure. All these years later, I still think Civ 5 looks better than its direct successor. Civ 7 has taken another stylized but much more grounded and tactile approach. The main influences on the art style were painted miniatures, model trains, dioramas, and museum displays, and everything on the map is great to look at. I really did feel like I could reach down in there and pick these little guys up to get a closer look at them.
I protect thee with this flame.
It's the first Civ game in a while that really feels current gen in a visual sense. The mountains look a bit less mountainy, more like isolated peaks than the nice, realistic, sprawling ranges you'd get in previous games, but that's my only graphics gripe so far. The leaders, continuing on the tradition of Civ 6, are rendered with tons of detail and personality. We got a look at Hatshepsut of Egypt, Amina of Zazau, the natural leader for Aksum, Augustus of Rome, and Ashoka of the Maurya. On the diplomatic screen, both of the negotiating leaders are now shown interacting, which adds a nice bit of dramatic flair.
Veni, gladia vostra nostro muro frangite.
Diplomacy has also been greatly reworked from Civ 6. Influence is now a baseline currency produced by certain buildings, and you spend it on direct actions that target another Civ. Firaxis wants to reduce the emphasis on transactional horse trading type diplomacy, so every time you do something diplomatically, it's more of a specific jab or handshake that you're engaging in. Influence also has a fairly low cap and is use it or lose it, encouraging you to engage in diplomacy regularly.
Nietzsche Amina. Saronia Amina.
One really interesting example of this was a treaty Amina kept hitting me with when we were on less than great terms, which would cause my relationship with my BFF Augustus to deteriorate unless I spent an even larger ante of influence to counter it. This presents some diabolical ways you can play other civs against each other, and a reason to keep some influence in the bank. The other really great twist with influence is that you can spend it during a war to increase your side's war support, which works kind of like a diplomatic tug of war. If one side has invested a lot more influence than the other into war support, the side with less will suffer scaling penalties to combat effectiveness and happiness in their cities. So diplomacy is now key to the military game as well, which I love.
Gamescom has begun.
Hello, everybody!
It's the biggest gaming event in the world, and Gamescom Studio is your one-stop destination for all the excitement.
It's awesome to be here at Gamescom.
Coming up today, some of the most anticipated games like Monster Hunter Wilds, Avowed, Civilization 7. Plus, looks ahead at what's next for games that already have us hooked, like Diablo 4 and Starship Troopers Extermination. Plus, we'll take a look at what's happening around the Gamescom show floor, bringing you sights, sounds, and maybe some surprises. So get ready, because Gamescom Studio, live on IGN, starts right now.
Hello and welcome to IGN's live coverage of Gamescom 2024, the biggest video game convention in the world. I'm your host, Stella Chung, along with Max Scoville and Brian Altano. Welcome to Gamescom, guys.
Welcome to Gamescom. The Gamescom floor is officially open, and for the next 4 days, IGN will be bringing you non-stop coverage of everything going on here, right in Cologne, Germany. We'll have interviews with game developers, voice actors, and the people working on the coolest upcoming and ongoing games. Plus, we'll also be showing you around the absolutely massive Gamescom show floor, which is packed with booths, activations, and probably something really wild, like a 70-foot tall dragon that's fighting a tank, or maybe just like a regular-sized construction vehicle that's there to promote a very specific game about doing construction. Probably. It's all happening here at Gamescom. Lots of cool stuff.
It certainly is. There will also be definitely tons of surprises you won't want to miss, brand new gameplay trailers, exclusive reveals, and more. And hey, the biggest video game event on the planet also cares about the planet. Thanks to the Gamescom Goes Green initiative, Gamescom runs on 100% renewable energy. In addition to participating in Gamescom's carbon offset program, exhibitors are also doing their part by building more sustainably, reusing portions of their booths, and avoiding single-use material.
It's quite amazing. The Gamescom force continues to grow, and more trees have been planted thanks to donations from attendees. You can find out more about Gamescom's sustainability efforts and find out how to do your part at Gamescom.global. And speaking of global, if you can't make it to Germany this week, don't worry, because Gamescom has actually gone worldwide. Gamescom Asia will be taking place in Singapore October 17th to 20th, and tickets are on sale now. The first ever Gamescom Latam took place in Brazil back in June, and it was a huge success, so much so that it's actually returning back in 2025.
All right, I'm excited to go back there. As for what's happening today right here, though, we've got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero up next, followed by a look at Diablo 4's Vessel of Hatred expansion, and later on, Monster Hunter Wilds and Starship Troopers Extermination.
Yeah, and if you think that's a lot, that's just what's happening here in the studio. So let's actually see what's happening out on the show floor.
Oi oi and welcome to Gamescom 2024. We're going to be out here on the show floor today checking out some amazing stuff. We're going to have a look at Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Later, X marks the spot. We're going to have a fantastic look around this, quite frankly, massive Xbox booth. And then later on, when the sun goes down, as does the Dying Light, we're going to take a look at Dying Light, The Beast, the new game announced last night at ONL. So it's going to be a good time, I think. I think you should stick with us, really.
Dragon Ball fans are counting down the days to the release of Sparking Zero, and last night we got a brand new trailer celebrating the fact that it is only 50 days away, but I guess that's 49 now. Here to answer some of our burning questions about Sparking Zero is the games producer Jun Furutani and Mark Karstens, who will be translating.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
People are really excited for this game. People are extremely hyped for it. The new trailer looks awesome. There's one specific shot that I want to call out that people have a lot of questions about. There's a bit where Mr. Satan, or Hercule, is running away from what appears to be Vegeta in his giant Uzuru ape form. How does that fit into the gameplay? Because I feel like the rest of the battles are pretty straightforward. It looks like a fight in Dragon Ball. We get it. This is kind of one-sided. Where just, I guess, some context, both in terms of maybe story or maybe gameplay.
まあ、ここに見えるように前のトレーラーでこういうサタンが悟空かベゲタのゴリラフォームから逃げてるところがあるんですけど、まあ、トレーラーの別の部分はまあファイトとかそういうのは分かるんですけど、これはちょっと何ですかって、まあ、ストーリーとかゲームプレイに関してこれはどうやってゲームのに入っていますかって。
そうですね、これは普通に対戦のワンシーンを切り取った映像にはなっています。かなりサタンなんかは空を飛べないキャラクター、武空術ができないキャラクターになっているので、地面をこのように走るような形で動くことができるキャラクターになっています。それを奥から大猿が接近して攻撃を畳みかけているっていうワンシーンをちょっと切り取ったシーンになりますので、お客さんの中でもプレイしている中でまさにこういうちょっとリアルに本当に逃げ回っているシーンみたいなことはリアルタイムに起こりうるものとして、こちら見ていただければと思います。
So this is actually a battle scene? Because you can play Mr. Saturn and Mr. Saturn can fly, so obviously if you're trying to get away from your opponent, then he has to run. And this is basically a character of Saturn running away from Vegeta, who's trying to attack him.
I think running is probably a good solution in that scenario. The other thing that people have really latched onto is there's a brief glimpse of Goku wearing his Yardrat outfit, which I think people are really excited about the prospect of character customization, different outfits. It's already a massive roster. Can you talk a little bit about sort of different outfits or accessories?
まあ、もう一つのシーンはその悟空がヤートレットの服を着てるんですけど、まあ、大きいロスターなんですけど、そのロスターの中にやっぱりそういうカスタマイズがあるっていうのはファンが結構嬉しくて、そのコスチュームとかについてもうちょっと教えてもらえますか。
そうですね、結構悟空のこの衣装とかってその原作のストーリーの中でもやっぱり出てきていた衣装だったりもするので、今回お客さんの方でもこのような衣装の状態で戦っていただく、遊んでいただけるような形で実装させていただいています。まだお伝えできないキャラクターだったりお伝えできない衣装とかあるんですけど、まだ他にも一部のキャラクターではこのように原作で登場した衣装で、遊んでいただけるようなものはございます。
So basically, I mean, this is a scene from the story. This is an outfit that was in the story, and as we're trying to revive the story as much as possible, there will be multiple costumes for multiple characters. We cannot go too much into the details right now. We're sorry about that, but certain characters will have multiple costumes to choose from.
Glad to hear it. That's very exciting. I know people. There's some iconic ones. I want the Piccolo in the Post Boy shirt when he's doing the driving test. Now it's been a long time since the last Budokai Tenkaichi game. A lot has changed since then. A big thing is obviously the fighting game community, competitive esports. Can you talk a little bit about how sort of that change has influenced Sparking Zero?
まあ前の舞踏会の時よりやっぱそのファイティングゲームのコミュニティが結構大きくなっていろんなトーナメントも出てるし e スポーツが盛んになったんですけど、そういう e スポーツの盛んの中新しいスパークゼロはどういうふうにそういうフィーチャーとかあるんですかと。
そうですね、この作品で申しますと、その他の作品でいうドラゴンボールファイターズとかみたいにその e スポーツ的すごい競技性が高くて公平性が高いみたいな形ではなくて、どちらかというとドラゴンボールらしさ、ドラゴンボール的な体験をすごい楽しんでいただきたいなということを念頭に作っている作品になります。なのでキャラクターごとに全員が共通して同じ強さであるっていうのではなくて、原作で描かれていたようなその強いキャラクターはより強く、なかなか苦戦したキャラクターはちょっと苦戦を強いられるような、そういった形でキャラクターの強さっていうのは調整させていただいていますので、基本的にはそのようなドラゴンボールのキャラクターのまさにそのキャラクターになりきる体験というか、キャラクターが味わえるこの、より自分が強ければより強い体験、なかなか難しいキャラクターであれば難しい体験みたいなところを本当にキャラクターになりきって遊んでいただけたらなというふうには思っています。ちょっとプラスであるんですけど、一旦ここまでで。
So, first part of the answer. I mean, there are other Dragon Ball games where they have a very good balancing that is important and for esports to have characters that are well balanced so that everybody has the same chance. But this game is more about enjoying being a character. So in this game, you know, strong characters are stronger, and you can play very strong, and characters that are weaker in the story are also weaker, and you can enjoy gameplay where you struggle a little more and it's a little more challenging. So the focus is different. It's not really balancing and having a fair esports fight, but more about, you know, being the character and being in the story.
いいですかね。でその上で一応キャラクターごとに、コストみたいなものが割り振られていまして、強いキャラは多くコストを消費して、弱いなかなか苦戦したようなキャラクターたちは少し少なめのコストになっていて、その一定のコストの上限の中で、チームを組んでいくっていうような遊び方をすることができて、そうすることで一定程度バランスを取った対戦ができるような形にしています。
So on top of that, there's like a point system or cost system for each character. So for example, strong characters have a higher cost, and not so strong characters has a lower cost. And as this is a team game, you can combine your team with like stronger or weaker characters and have the same cost to balance the odds.
Nice. Now, obviously, games have changed a lot since the last Budokai Tenkaichi. Can you talk a little bit about how Sparking Zero has kind of modernized the old experience? Like, what will longtime players immediately find familiar, and what's something new that might surprise them, just in terms of how it plays?
前のゲームも結構前に出たんだから、その時のファンが今の新しいスパーキングゼロをゲームするときには、これは昔のようだと考えるところとか、これは新しいなという考えるところが、そこら辺はどうですか？
そうですね、おっしゃる通りシリーズ作品になっていて、それこそ前作17年前に出ているというところもあって、かなり時間が空いてしまっている。だからこそ我々としてはシリーズならではのこのアクション性、ゲーム性、バトルシステムというところは基本的には踏襲をするような形で作っています。かなり昔遊んでいただいた武道会展開地3と近い操作感で遊んでいただけるようにすごいチューニングしていますし、基本的ななんでしょう、吹っ飛ばしてから追撃をするだとか、相手の攻撃をうまくカウンター、タイミングよくボタンを押してカウンターするだとか、そういった基本的なシステムはもうこれまで通り踏襲させていただいているというのは大前提やらせていただいています。これはやっぱりシリーズ正当進化というか、シリーズの作品であるということをやっぱりお客さんに分かっていただきたいというのでそうさせていただいていますし、そこに加えてさらに武道会展開シリーズならではというか、ドラゴンボールらしいアクションというのを楽しんでいただけるように、よりなんでしょう、リアルタイムの中で攻撃を食らいながらも反撃できる新しいリベンジカウンターというシステムを入れたりですとか、ちょっと中距離からでも一気に瞬間移動的に攻撃を仕掛けることのできるバニシングアサルトみたいなですね、新しいシステムをどんどん入れていくことで、よりドラゴンボールらしいアクションを自分の手で生み出せるような進化というのを今回遂げるような形で作らせていただいています。
So of course this is an old IP. The last game is 17 years old, so a lot of change there. But as this is a part of a series, we're very focused on making sure that the experience is the same. So we have a quite similar battle system, and whoever played the old games will be able to control it and have a similar feeling of fighting, and how to attack. Like punch him and throw him away, and then you dash to him, or like you counter timings, and so will be similar to the old games. But of course, we added a lot of new stuff to make it more Dragon Ball-y, let's say. So there are some real-time actions, like now while you're attacked, you can revenge counter. This is a new system. Or, you can like warp, or like it's Vanish Assault, we call it, like when you immediately teleport to the enemy and then can attack and stuff like that. So we increased things that we know from the Dragon Ball universe that weren't in the previous game, to make it more accessible and a better experience.
Awesome. Well, I'm dying to find out more. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is out October 11th on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Right now, though, there is lots more Gamescom Studio coming up live on IGN, so stick around.
Hello and welcome to Gamescom 2024. I am Simon Cardy with Matt Purslow for IGN, and we have seen an extended look at Indiana Jones and the Great Circle gameplay, a full 15 minutes, couple of different levels, a little look around some of the mechanics, and I think so far, you'd be expecting from Machine Games something that has the essence of a bit of Riddick, a bit of Wolfenstein in there, which you're definitely getting in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. But I think the surprise we got is there's quite a bit of the Hitman games in this, not only in some of the stealth systems, but the way the levels themselves are designed.
Yeah, so as we know, kind of like Indy does disguise himself in the films to get into certain areas, and we're actually seeing a bit of that in the mechanics of the game. So there will be areas that are off limits, and you'll have to get a disguise, very much like Agent 47, and then you'll go in there, and there are actual enemies that you have to be wary of because they might be able to see through your disguise. And then as you're working through those areas, you've kind of got to do stuff that makes you seem like you're part of them. You know, you might want to have to pour a bottle of wine in one instance to make sure that the Nazis don't think that you're anything more than a humble waiter.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of my favorite parts of the Indiana Jones film. I'm a huge fan of the films. I just love how funny they are, especially in The Last Crusade, where Indy himself disguises himself as a Nazi, mistakenly gets really close to Hitler and gets him to sign his autograph book. It's a very funny moment. Don't know if we'll get any of that quite in the game, but yeah, as you said, I like the disguise elements that we've seen so far. There's one bit where he's disguised himself as a member of the clergy in the Vatican City to sneak into areas he shouldn't be. I just love that element of it, that sneak into areas. And there's a good level of stealth to this game, which is kind of what I want, because the Uncharted games, which are obviously inspired by Tomb Raider, which in turn inspired by Indiana Jones, very gun heavy. They kind of take the more action hero approach to Nathan Drake, whereas I kind of like that this is more India's core. He's a professor, he's an archaeologist, he's not a super soldier, and we're getting that. And that's not to say that there isn't combat in this game. Outside of stealth, he does like to get himself into a fight, and I know you in particular are quite impressed by the melee system they seem to have in this game.
Yeah, so as you were saying with Uncharted is very gun heavy and kind of like Nate has lots of different weapons that he can use. It seems like Indy's kind of doing the inverse of that, where he's got his revolver, but actually a lot of the combat seems to be fist fighting, and there's actually, it seems to be, at least what we've seen, a reasonably deep fist fighting system. So you've got your usual left and right hooks, but there's also like a dodge and parry system, and obviously you then combine that with the whip, so you can kind of like whip them from the ankle and pull them over, or you can knock their weapons out their hands, so then you can like dive in to get like your strong right hook in. And so yeah, it feels like definitely it's going to have a little bit of that Uncharted. As you say, you can't escape that because Indy is the start of that genesis. But I like that they're focusing on things that are very not like what other archaeology-style adventure games have done in the past.
No, and I also like there's a great deal of puzzle solving in this game. Like, in that 15 minutes we saw, there was at least 3 or 4 different types of puzzles we saw. Of course, you're going to get like the light and mirror puzzle that you kind of see in all of these types of games. But there was also just a good amount of kind of outside of the box puzzle solving. We don't know to an extent how many different ways you can solve certain objectives in this game yet, but a key tool that Indy has is his journal and his camera. So he'll go around levels and take photographs of clues, and then that'll help him not only solve puzzles and work out ways of completing these levels, but also for everything you successfully take a photo of, you get things called adventure points, which you can then use to unlock perks. We've only seen one of those, I think, so far, but I know it was one that you were also a big fan of because it plays into the films in a very funny way.
Yeah, so there is a perk called True Grit, and this is, if you've played Borderlands and you know what the second wind sort of ability in that game is, when you go down, it allows you to come back. It's a second life, essentially. But True Grit, the way it does it, it's perfect. He drops the hat, and then you pick the hat up and put it back on your head. Hopefully it plays the music sting, and then yeah, you get your second life and you get to carry on. I think that's just a perfect way of knowing what the tropes of those films are and finding a way to turn that into gameplay. I think that's super smart.
I think they're doing a lot of things to play on your expectations and what you want to see from Indy, which is obviously going in, finding relics, like going into tombs, finding all these historical secrets, but also kind of subverting your expectations. Right at the end of the demo is a funny moment where they drop down into this tomb and you're expecting snakes, but it's actually scorpions. A fun little twist. I mean, he's not a fan of bugs either. That's more a Temple of Doom. A lot of bugs in Temple of Doom. You're expecting snakes. I'm sure there will be snakes in this game. We haven't played it yet. We don't know how it feels. I'm hopeful about it, but they really seem to have like cracked the essence of Indiana Jones. And it does, like, and I say cliche, but kind of does feel like you're playing an unofficial, well, almost an official film of Indiana Jones. They've got it spot on. And that includes even Troy Baker's impersonation, which, you know, if you squint your ears, if you can do that, I don't know if that's the thing, isn't too far away from.
I think he's got it pretty well.
Yeah. One big question people have had since the start of reveal this game is first versus third person. 95% of the game is first person. I'm happy with that. That is what separates it from the likes of Uncharted and Tomb Raider, I think. Otherwise, it would be, to an extent, a bit of a copy of those games and the Hitman games. There are moments where it switches to third person. Some of those, I think, work well, like the priming, that makes sense, this in third person, but then like every like whip swing you do for like a second cuts to third person. That is a little jarring for me at the moment. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I find the kind of like, there's almost a bit of Deus Ex. If you know the modern Deus Ex games have when you go into cover, it goes into third person, which feels like very natural for it. It feels like it works for the gameplay mechanics. It is obvious in this that when he does the whip crack to swing himself over a chasm, that they want to have that kind of cinematic element of indie. But the moment is so small. It's a second. So you're going out into third person for a second and then back into first person. Whereas with the climbing, you've got a more extended period and it makes more sense of that. I hope that there's a toggle that I can switch that on and off, because quite honestly, I'd rather play the game mostly in first person. It is a game that is clearly built for first person. And I want to play most of the game that way.
Especially because like the details of some of these like levels, it's a beautiful looking game, and I kind of, I think you can be immersed in third person games, but first person does give you that extra little boost to that, I think. And seeing some of these worlds and holding the journal up in first person, it all feels very tangible, and I like when games feel tangible. And it's another way they're really like encapsulating the feel of the films. I do want to touch on the comedy of it all as well, because I do think it's going to be like, that's what the Hitman side of, like, Hitman is one of the funniest games you can play because it allows you to do funny things. And I think even in the melee combat, you see like funny little like slaps and stuff like that, which is very funny. And also the way you can just pick up weapons from around the world. Like there's a shovel on the floor, pick it up, hit someone with it once, and then that weapon will shatter. So you can't overly abuse that system, but it's fun little ways you can just like pick up, not anything in the world, but pick up little things and just use them like kind of a little bit like, old Valve games would with their physics engine, just kind of making weapons from the world. And I know you saw a little bit of Valve design to it. We don't want to overhype out much design works going into this, but there is a little bit of that in there, I think.
Yeah, I think the kind of like the providing as many possibilities within a space as possible. They did talk about how there's a lot of linear sections, but then there's a lot of kind of like, I guess you call them wider linear sections, which is where you get to make more of your own choices on how you progress through the mission. And that's where, going back to the disguise system, you have disguises that work for particular story sections, but then it seems like you get to keep those disguises, and then if you find an area that would require a similar presence, you can switch back into that. And so that combined with the like these slightly more open, a bit like what Chronicles of Riddick had, where it's like, okay, you're in an area, but there's sort of 4 routes that you can see that might go through it, and then, oh, this one is, I can pick up this rolling pin and batter the Nazi with a rolling pin, but then I could maybe grab this guy's gun and fire a few rounds of that off. It's got a bit of that. It's not an immersive sim game in the way that kind of things like what Arcane and Ironstorm back in the day made, but it's got that freedom, which reminds me a little bit of Valve. Valve was always kind of hot on, you're in first person, as long as you can do things around with the environment, you'll find a solution. I'm hoping that's what it's going to get from. That's what it was suggested from what I was seeing.
I'm very excited for this game. I was already very excited for this game as a huge Indiana Jones fan. I'm just glad now we've seen an extended bit of gameplay that there is a lot more to it than I thought. I thought I was just getting a first-person Uncharted, but I like these stealth elements, the disguise elements. A lot more deeper systems than I thought maybe this game would have. And yeah, I can't wait to see more, really. Yeah. Fantastic.
Diablo 4 was one of last year's most addictive games, and if you thought you were done, they're about to pull you right back in. Here to tell us about the upcoming Vessel of Hatred expansion, I'm joined by Brett Gibson, Game Director, and Tiffany K. Watt, Production Director. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Let's talk about Vessel of Hatred, coming to Diablo 4 October 8th, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And I believe at the show here at Gamescom, you're showing a new trailer for the Pale Hand Mercenaries.
Yes.
What do we need to know about this crew?
Oh my God. First off, we wanted to find a way to allow players that play specific classes to round out their builds with certain powers that you might not actually have in that class specifically. And so, like, for example, if you're playing a Sorc, you might want to have something a little more tanky as a part of your kit. And so Mercenaries is a really great way of being to hire and bring followers along that fit those gaps.
Yeah, there's a few reasons I love Mercenaries. I mean, I've been playing Diablo for a long time. Diablo 2 always had a mercenary with me, obviously, in Diablo 3. So really, really excited to bring this feature to Diablo 4. I'm personally a little scared when I go down into the dungeons, so having a friend with me makes it a little bit friendlier. And like Brent was saying, being able to customize your playstyle, and no matter what build you have, whatever class you're playing, there's going to be a mercenary that you can customize to really, I think, enhance what you're doing, and being able to switch them on the fly, and it just all the features that it brings to the table is really exciting.
So I believe there are 4 mercenaries. I have the names here. Let's see what I can do. Rahir,
Yep.
the shield bearer. Sly Aldkin, the cursed child.
Yes.
Variana, the berserker crone, and Subo, the bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And I believe you encounter them as you complete quests in Vessel of Hatred.
Yeah.
Is it a specific order, or can you find them on your own, or how does that work?
You can find them on your own. You're going to find one during the campaign.
Okay.
But the really special thing about this is that we just didn't put them into the game. We actually wanted to build them out as characters. So they all have their own side quests that really lean into their human story, which we won't spoil anything here today. But they're wonderful human stories for each individual one. And the character development in Diablo 4 I think is super top notch, and I'm really excited to see it in this feature.
Yeah, it's awesome that we can continue to bring the world of Sanctuary alive through these characters, and as you're acquiring them, as you're playing through the game, is learning more about them and their backgrounds, and bringing that little bit of role playing into your gameplay.
You'll just have one of them with you at a time? You're not rolling with the whole squad?
There's a couple different ways that you can bring them in. One, if you're playing by yourself, you can bring them in as a follower, so they'll be running around the world with you. But we also have a reinforcements feature, which is no matter how many people you have in your party, you can assign them to come in and use their special powers under certain conditions that you define. And so you might be in the middle of combat and say that, on basic, have Rahir come in and throw up his power, however you spec them in that moment, which is really cool because you can essentially always have them with you, even if they're not on screen.
I was just going to add, I think that's just to enhance on what Brent was saying, being able to trigger the reinforcements to key actions that are happening during gameplay. You can be a little bit more passive with it, like Brent mentioned, if you wanted to attach it to your basic attack. But you can also attach it to hey, I just took a lot of damage. Now I want Rahir to come in and actually put up his shield for me. I think that's where the customization of the gameplay is really, really amazing.
Yeah. You mentioned the campaign. Can you sort of set up where the story is going in this expansion?
Yeah, it's the story of Hatred is a longer story that we want to tell. And so when you left off in the base game, you defeated Lilith, and Narel had Mephisto and the Soul Stone. So this is really the next chapter of that. We're picking right up where we left off, and you're going to figure out what the fate of that Soul Stone actually is.
A new region, Nahantu?
Yep.
Is that right? What has sort of that allowed you to bring into Diablo 4 that wasn't there before?
Oh man, all sorts of stuff. I mean, you've got this dark gothic setting with the base game, and to be able to come in and bring something as fresh as the jungle is pretty amazing. And even though it's brand new to Diablo 4, there's a lot of nostalgia built in as well. And so for fans that have been around since Diablo 2, we're going back to a region that we touched on lightly. But now we get to dive deeper in with the open world. We got a lot more opportunity to build out that space.
We also get to bring new amazing monster families to the game. So we have the Hollows, the Dregs, and a fan favorite, the Lacunae. So that's really, really exciting. I think finding new monsters and just defeating them is a core part of the fantasy of Diablo 4. So I can't wait to see what people's reactions are to the families.
So there's a new class, Spiritborn. Any tips or tricks for people who are going to be jumping into this new class?
Oh man, this is the most experimentation that you're going to see in any class. I actually think it comes down to playstyle preference. So the tips and tricks are really based on what style you prefer. I'm a Jaguar player. I really like. We were talking about this earlier. I got the coin in my pocket. Where I like the fast-paced speed. I like being able to cover a lot of ground. But pairing it with something like Centipede is really fantastic because not only are you covering a lot of the ground, but you're also leaving that damage out into the field at the same time. So I just encourage people to get in and see all the emergent experimentation that they can get with the class and come up with things that even we haven't talked about.
Yeah, it's really great that I think that maybe the key of this expansion is being able to customize your playstyle, and the class in itself just caters to so many different playstyles. It's kind of gross to think that I would say I'm a centipede player because I do not like centipedes, but I am a centipede player, so I like the poisons that they bring, the damage over time playstyle, and Brent is telling me I need to add some Jaguar into that. So
we had a long debate this morning. Yeah.
There's a new co-op dungeon. What specific challenges does it pose that has to be tackled in co-op? You can't do this alone.
Oh man, so we talked about this a lot. There's a lot of things that are going in on that, and I feel like the cooperative mechanics that we put into place need to be discovered, because part of the challenge is that we're not going to be overly forward with what those are. So it's just know that you need to go in with somebody that you trust. Know that you need to communicate, but the game is set up in a way where it's not required. But the experience is quite fantastic because it's at the core, it's still Diablo combat, right? But the mechanics that are coming up really are like you have to be on point with that combat, be a good player, and try to coordinate at the same time. It's a blast in the playtests.
Yeah, you got to jump into Dark Citadel with 2 to 4 players. But if you don't have any friends that are online at the moment, you can always use our new Party Finder feature, which isn't just limited to the Dark Citadel. You can use that feature to find parties for any of the content. But I think that's an exciting new social feature that we're bringing to the table as well.
Very cool. Diablo 4, it's been out for over a year now. It's awesome to see you guys still supporting it.
Yeah.
We're excited to jump in. Vessel of Hatred in October. Thank you so much for coming by the show.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Diablo 4's Vessel of Hatred expansion is out October 8th for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, but right now there's more Gamescom Studio coming up right here on IGN.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. Period. And by high-tech, we mean it. We've recently added features like personal notes that save to your IGN account, and anything you check off on a map is tracked in the guide as well. It's the perfect system to get to 100%. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing for free at IGN Maps today.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN Store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store.
You're watching IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2024. Next year, we're getting to journey into the Forbidden Lands to meet new and old monsters in the wild. See what I did there? Today, I'm joined by Rozo Sujimoto, producer, Yuya Tokura, the director of Monster Hunter Wilds, and Patrick Shields, our wonderful translator. Hello.
Hi.
So, first of all, I have to thank you for letting us bring 2 weapons on a hunt. So, I do have to ask, though, how will this work with the guild cards?
今回武器2つ持っていけると思うんですけど、ギルドカードに登録するのはまた2つに増やすことなんでしょうかね。
そうですね。ギルドカードというもの自体がちょっと今回いろいろ形式を変えてたりしますので、またそのあたりは、追加の情報をお待ちいただければと思います。
Whether or not you have something exactly like the guild cards from previous titles is something we'll talk about a little bit down the road, but I'm sure you'll be happy with what we've done. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that makes me happy. There's more to talk about. Lots of secrets for us to discover. That makes me happy. So then let's go back to the weapons. I'm so curious if there were any weapons that were least used that you really want people to play and try out this game.
これまでの作品で使われている率が低かった武器で今回強調したかった武器とか使ってほしい武器などあったのでしょうか。
まあ一つはそう違います、狩猟笛については、今までちょっとダメージがどうしても出しきれなくてサポート武器という立ち位置がすごく強かったんですけど、今回はうまい立ち回っていくとダメージが出せるような設計になってますので、ぜひ一回手に取ってみてもらいたいなとは考えてます。
The hunting horn, as you'll know, is a weapon which is great for support buffs, but perhaps in previous games it was a little hard to do decent damage output compared to the other hunters in your party. So for Monster Hunter Wilds, I focused on making sure that if you're pulling off the right moves and combos, hunting horn users can also be right up there in the damage output with their friends.
I'm going to say I could not get a handle on the hunting horn. I was awful with it. So I was the worst support player. So what's something that you took from Monster Hunter Worlds and Monster Hunter Rise into Wilds?
ワールドまたはライズの経験から生かして今回のワイルズに実装しているとか、ここは変えてみました、追加しましたのような要素があれば教えてください。
まあ細かいところはあれですけど、まあこれは正直ワールドワイルズに関わらず、今までの作ってきたモンスターハンターのやっぱり経験であったりとか、ノウハウであったりとかっていうのはすごくやっぱりこのワイルズでももちろん生きてるところもいっぱいありますし、まあそれを踏まえて今回、入れたシステムであったりとかも仕様であったりとかってももちろんたくさんあります。
Not just Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, we've actually looked further back through the whole series history and just taking a look at how our approach was on each title and what we learned from them and how the players reacted to them. And I think in Monster Hunter Wilds, we've really taken these many years of experience and finally been able to put it into the ultimate Monster Hunter game.
まあ一つ言うと例えばセクレットとかっていうところで言うと、やっぱり今まで結構フィールドが広くなっていく分にはやっぱりアクションの幅も広がって、まあワクワクするっていいんですけど、その分やっぱり迷いやすいとかっていう欠点があったりとか、移動までに時間がかかったりとかっていうまあ欠点もあったんですけど、まあそういうのはセクレットがある程度オートで行きたいところまで行ってくれたりとかする手助けのサポートにもなるので、まあ、そこら辺は一つの例として今までの経験が生きている要素ではないかなとは思います。
One example is that as the series has progressed, the maps have gotten bigger and bigger, and that has meant it's been easier to get lost on your way to finding the monsters. So bearing that in mind, we've added the new Sacred Mount, which you're able to not only get on and move faster, but it can also automatically run you towards the monster and then get you straight there in one piece. So that's one of the things we've learned from past player feedback that we've tried to improve in the new title.
That's amazing. So I can go get a drink of water and just have my mount be progressing me towards that. So with Sacred, actually, I'm curious. I know we were able to sharpen our weapons on it, but are we also allowed to do some combat, especially for a bow user?
セクレットに乗りながら研ぎ石使えたりすると思うんですけど、アタックもできるんですか？特に、弓などのユーザーはよりそうですけど。
そうですね、すべての武器がセクレットに乗った状態から攻撃することができます。ただ攻撃の種類自体は限られていますので、本当に時間的な効率っていうのを求めるならばやはり地上に降りていただいてアクションしていただく形が望ましくはあります。
All 14 weapons support attacking while mounted on the Sacred, not just the ranged weapons. That said, I'd call it an option that's added for when you have a chance to attack the monster on your Sacred, but in terms of, DPS as it were, I'd recommend getting off the Sacred and getting into the battle proper, but it's there if you want to use it, and there's a limited number of actions you can use.
Okay, that's actually amazing. I mean, I'll take the tips from the pro, so I won't just ride them out and be scared. So we do see that monsters are going to be able to kind of form a herd and attack you. This sounds terrifying. Why did you decide to implement this into this game?
モンスターが群れて攻撃してくるようなシーンがあったんですけど、個人的にはすごく怖いと言いますか、なぜこういう要素を入れようと思ったんですか？
今回人間も含めたモンスターハンターの世界というのを描こうと思ってまして、そのためには少しその人間に対しても攻撃的だったり怖い部分っていうのもモンスターにはありますので、そういうところを強調するためには群れみたいな表現っていうのが、今回の技術を生かした形として望ましいなと思ったので今回採用しています。
we're always trying to depict a realistic ecosystem, and that means not just how the monsters or creatures in the environment behave, but how they react to people. And just as in the real world, some creatures will form packs or herds, and they might be aggressive towards humans who come towards them, or they might be scared of them and run away in a herd. So given that the technology now allows us to display so many more monsters on screen at the same time, it seemed like the perfect opportunity to implement this feature.
So if we give the monsters some food, is that something that could possibly make them, we can befriend them?
群れのモンスターに餌を与えて友達になったりすることは分離合いはできるんですか？
毒の肉を食べさせることはできます。
The only thing you can feed them is poisoned meat, as you.
Oh, that's not very.
So they're probably not going to be your friends afterwards.
Okay, yeah, probably not. Well, yeah, they wouldn't be alive to really think of that. So, what are the new monsters that you're very excited for players to come across?
今回、新モンスターについて、このモンスターはユーザーに注目してほしいというものは限られている中からと思うんですけど。
まだ本当に一部しか公開してませんので、これから先出ていくモンスターは本当にさらに魅力的なものがたくさんありますが、昨日の PV でもたくさん流れてきた、レダウという砂原での一番頂点に立っているモンスターは非常にビジュアル的にも、かっこよくてですね、しかるべき強さも秘めてますので、今回試作のデモ版でもプレイいただける形になってますので、なんか見ていただけたら嬉しいなとは思ってます。
Needless to say, we've only revealed a few monsters so far, so I can't really talk about monsters we haven't gotten to yet. But of the ones that we've been able to talk about thus far, Ray Dao is really exciting. You will have seen it in the trailer that we released yesterday. It's the top of the food chain. It's the apex predator of the Windward Plains, the desert area. And not only visually, but in terms of mechanics, it's a really thrilling hunt. So I can't wait for players to get their hands on it. And if you're coming to Gamescom and you're able to play our demo on our booth, that's one of the monsters you can encounter.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll stop asking questions that you can't answer, but I do have one for both of you since we are coming up to our last and final question. I want it to be a little bit fun. I love palicos. I think they are the most adorable things ever. I wish they were real. Do you have palicos of your own at home, aka cats?
オトモアイルが大好きなんで猫が好きなんですけど、猫を飼ってたりしますか？2人個人で。
僕は犬です。
僕はトカゲです。
Tsujimura-san has got a dog at home, and Tokura-san has actually got pet lizards.
Oh, okay. So I see where we're getting the inspirations for Monster Hunter from. I see. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. I will definitely swing by your booth to play. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch us and this special Monster Hunter segment. Monster Hunter Wilds will be releasing in 2025 on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. Stick around for more Gamescom 2024 right here on IGN.
Copa City is a football tycoon game where you transform an entire city to get it prepped to host world-class football events. Copa City features 3 meticulously crafted maps based on real cities like Warsaw and Berlin, and includes 6 world-class football clubs like Flamengo, Arsenal FC, and FC Bayern Munich. Here's an exclusive first look at alpha gameplay.
Football. Every time before the ball is set in motion on the pitch, it's the culmination of hard work. To captivate the fans, to ensure everyone's safety, to meet every need, and to ignite the city's fiesta for the game. Sometimes it requires making tough decisions with lasting consequences. To elevate your football event to a global stage, to bring the best players and clubs to your city, to make your game happen in Copa City.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie people. We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, like, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and TV for more Cinefix movie lists. Bad at math, great at movies.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection of the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today. Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion. IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides. Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
You never forget your first drop.
Reinforcements inbound. Hang tight, demons.
From the moment those doors open up, everything changes.
Let's go, troopers! Move up!
And let me tell you, when it hits the fan,
Buds incoming!
it ain't the Federation you're thinking of. It's those who stand together.
Extraction inbound.
Those who fall. And those who stay behind. So we can fight another day.
Get to the dropship, troopers!
This is why we fight.
You know what to do. Extraction complete. Third wave ready, Command.
Later this year, you can finally do your part to make the galaxy safe by battling the bug menace in Starship Troopers Extermination. If you'd like to know more, you're in luck because I'm joined by the legendary Johnny Rico himself, Casper Van Dien, and Gareth Woods from Off-World Industries. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for coming by. I see you brought some backup here.
Some friends of ours.
Yeah, I always travel with them.
I love it. It's. I feel incredibly safe. This is wonderful. Now we also brought something very cool, which is a brand new trailer. We just got to look at that. I was thinking we could maybe just throw it on again and maybe pause periodically, pull out some details, call out some cool stuff in there. So, yeah, let's take a look.
All right.
So here, these are Starship Troopers. Is that correct?
Yep. These are these people, right here. There's a drop ship coming out of here. I love the face masks that they've added in Starship Troopers Extermination. We didn't have that in the original, but we had coming out like this.
That's a plasma bug, right?
Yeah, let's kind of talk about that. There's some new bugs in the game.
Yeah, we wanted to show off some of the bugs that I guess people have seen already in the early access, but I think the big reveal was obviously the tanker bug, which I suppose we've teased. People knew it was coming. It's in the movie, and it's always been a thing we've tried to push throughout development of the game, is that you're going to get to live action role play the movie. And so if it's in the movie, we want to put it in the game. And so the tanker bug reveal was obviously a big one.
That was
tigers we've seen before.
The tiger bugs are huge.
But obviously the big reveal now when the tanker bug unearths from the ground, the music's at a great crescendo. You really start getting the goose flesh. And obviously part of extermination is extracting safely. But sometimes someone has to stand behind and defend the base.
Oh boy.
And with the nuke, which obviously very impressive.
Good way of handling that.
100%.
Is that the Watkins trigger?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is, yeah, but with a nuke attached to it.
Yeah, with a nuke.
Yeah.
Well, he held the nuke. That was the Watkins thing.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
held his, when I said to him, what are you trying to do? Kill? And he goes, I'm just trying to kill some bugs. That's Seth Gilliam, who was in The Walking Dead. They named it after him. These people are, Off-World is so incredible. They take the time to look at all the details, and they would add these little things that people would know that watch the movie.
Yeah.
Or go back and watch.
Do our best to kind of cram in as many Easter eggs as possible for the fan service.
I was overwhelmed with them.
Casper, I think you were saying this back at IGN Live, but like, you recorded more lines for this game than for like all the movies. Is that?
I did.
That's wild.
It was so much fun. We were in there, and they'd throw something else at me, and then I'd go, "Hey, what if we did this?" So we played when we were in there, and that was so fun for me to have people that they're like, "Oh, I got an idea," and they go, "Casper, that was great, but why don't you try this?" And then I'd be like, "Oh my God, that's even better." And then I'd throw something else, and I'm like, "Oh no, that was perfect." So we had so many different things that we added. So there were so many levels, but they already come up with the dialogue. It was so incredible. It reminded me of just like what Ed Neumeyer wrote, who wrote Starship Troopers.
And you're sort of playing like the general. You're like just commanding everybody, you're bossing everybody around, and then the actual.
You get your orders, and the narrative is delivered through Casper and other voice actors. But essentially, you play a trooper, and you've got your NPC kind of characters that join you. They've all got their own backstories. They've got their own kind of personalities. And you essentially go through these series of missions for what is Chapter 1, which will be available at launch. We are then periodically throughout the ongoing live service going to be delivering more chapters. Chapter 2 has already been recorded with Casper, but we'll be able to continue the story through more free DLC that comes out later.
Cool, and it's also like 16-player co-op.
No, that is a single player,
single
but
player
4-player squad.
Gotcha,
Essentially, you're an elite special operations group that are, Casper, the general, has kind of commanded you and cherry-picked you as the best of the best to go out and deliver these special missions.
Cool. Now, so this has also been in early access for quite a while.
Yeah, since May of last year.
Yeah, which is awesome. And obviously, like you've got some extremely active Starship Troopers fans around. Some of them just hanging out on stage with us. What's some of the feedback you've gotten from early access, and what's the community brought to the table?
Yeah, I think people have really appreciated our obvious love of the franchise and wanting to put as much of what you see in the movie into the game. I think the particularly unique selling points of the game have obviously been the 16-player element. I think horde shooters, it's a super popular genre, but no one's doing that kind of 16-player element. I think other games always treat you as the hero. You very much can make a difference by yourself, but with 16 players, you have to team up, you have to work together. And so the unique roles that you play in that squad, and taken from our studio's experience with Squad, our other game, which is a 100-player game, we've really tried to elevate that element of teamwork and coordination.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. What they do is they even benefit. You get perks if you help other people, if you're trying to help other troopers out. I mean, they've been very thoughtful in this, and it's incredible. I go out and I play all the time.
Yeah, you've been streaming the game yourself,
I've been streaming it and also just going out and steaming it by myself, just going out, and I go as General J. Rico, and people are like, wait a minute, you sound like the guy from the movie, and I go, I am, and they're like, no way!
Yeah, great for random players to just, I recognize that voice from somewhere.
Yeah, that's so cool. Now, Casper, I got to ask, there's a lot of bugs in the game. Do you have a particular favorite in the game, or just the general Starship Troopers?
Of course, I love killing the warrior bugs. I love that new tiger warrior bug, and the tanker bug has always been my nemesis. So that's been my thing. So I am so excited that this has been revealed. I've been wanting to talk about it. I've been wanting to see it, and I've been wanting to play it. And you can get on top of this bug, and you can blow it up.
You do the grenade thing?
Yeah, you can climb on it. Yeah, that's
shoot it.
Its weak point. Yeah.
And more than one person can. Yeah. But I also love that they have carnage, so that the bugs start piling up here and they don't disappear. You have to deal with the carnage as it comes. It's incredible. So the bugs pile up and they can crawl over and get in, but you can also crawl up on them. You can blow them up. You can go through them. I mean, it's incredible. And they don't. You go away and you come back. All those bodies are still there. They don't disappear when you kill them.
That is disgusting. That's just awful. I love it. I'm very into it. I guess I'm just sort of. Can you give us an idea where we're at with the single player story? Like, what's at stake? Where does this fall in the general canon? Can you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to reveal too much because obviously it is a narrative and kind of spoiler territory if I give too much. But essentially, General Rico, who's now a general again, and he's got a kind of antagonistic relationship with the rest of command. But essentially, he's picked you and your fellow troopers to kind of deliver some secret, not so secret missions that. I feel like I'm walking to spoiler territory.
You do this so that you can move up in the game. It also gives you. It's incredible. I haven't seen it yet. I've only done the voice for it. I've heard what they've said. I'm gonna go take a look at it today.
Yeah, but it's important to allow people to have their troopers experience by themselves if they want. But also, I think for a lot of people to get them ready for multiplayer, which can be intimidating. I think for a lot of people, they want to play the single player. They want to feel like they can do their part and not, be the sore thumb that sticks out.
Do their part. I see what you did there.
Yeah, you like that.
I see what you
You're
did
picking
there.
up what I'm dropping down. Yeah.
How chaotic does it get when you've got 16 people just running around? Is it just...
Yeah, I think that's the thing when you first start. It is literally like herding cats kind of thing. But towards the end, I mean, especially when you get to the higher difficulties, everyone kind of knows what to do. They know their part. They know the engineers, whatever role you're doing, everyone knows what the medics do, the snipers do, what the engineers do.
Yeah, we were just talking about this because I've been playing. I've been going out just playing, and I'm like a newbie again. So I'm like totally a noob, which is incredible because I was an OG in the old days, but now I'm a noob again. But I've been playing, and when I'm playing, sometimes you get, you have to have your medic, you have to have engineers, you have to have a ranger, you have to have a sniper, you have to have all the different people. If you get a whole team together and they all work together, cohesiveness, you can be successful. I had an incredible game I played with all these random people, and we were just playing. Like, I can't believe you're here. And we I just went in with these people that knew what they were doing. The engineers built an incredible base. They had all these things. You get all the material you need to get to build and get your weapons and get everything up. And then you go out and you kill the bugs, the hordes come, you kill them, and then you have to get extracted. It's incredible.
Victory. I love it. Everybody's got to do their part. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having us again.
Thank you for just providing backup. I love it. You can check out Starship Troopers Extermination right now by enlisting for Steam Early Access, and the full version will mobilize on PC and new-gen consoles October 11th.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store. You deserve it.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today.
What's up, everybody? We are here at the IGN store, which is right next to the Gamescom studio booth in Hall 7 at Gamescom. So if you are here in person, come check it out. You will find a bunch of really cool merch that is exclusive to the IGN store. A bunch of t-shirts, hoodies, pins based on your favorite video games. We've got an exclusive Fallout Brotherhood of Steel pin set, which you won't find anywhere else. But if you aren't at Gamescom, you can also go to store.ign.com to grab a bunch of very cool merch and collectibles and stuff like that.
Yeah, but if you're more interested in what we have to show you, we've got the World of Warcraft expansion coming up next. Then we've got Marvel Rivals, Avowed, Civ 7, and so much more, so stick around.
World of Warcraft has its 10th expansion pack coming very soon on August the 26th this year, and Azeroth is yet again in danger from a new dark force. Joining us today to talk about the war within are Associate Design Director Maria Hamilton and Associate Art Director Tina Wang from Blizzard. Welcome, folks. Hi, how's it going?
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Great, thanks for having us.
So it's the 10th expansion, 20 years of World of Warcraft. How do you approach finding new stories, fresh storytelling this far in, and how do you approach raising the stakes?
Well, I think that we have had, as you said, 10 expansions, and along the way we've left hints and clues and little hooks that remain that we can then pick up later and continue. And that was our goal, actually, with this 20th anniversary World Sword Saga, is to start pulling some of those threads back together. And so it's going to feel pretty nostalgic for some folks because we have a lot of interesting things. Quite famously, there's a giant sword in the desert in Silithus. So it's not too hard, actually. There's lots of cool ideas. It's a deep mythology, and so we're able to easily find new stories to tell. But this one is a real culmination of a lot of threads.
Is it challenging to find new stakes, new world-threatening things, or is the lore so rich that there's just hooks everywhere?
Yeah, no, there's hooks everywhere, and we've had this whole story about Azeroth the whole time. I mean, Azeroth is in many ways our main character. The world is the main character here. I mean, yes, the players obviously are, but it's all in service to our world. So it's pretty easy to always find another problem that's come up, and in this case, it's pretty epic. I mean, it's really enough story that we need to tell it in three expansions.
You're never short of world-threatening dangers.
No.
Speaking of the world, Khazalgar is the new subterranean region. What led you to that decision? What solidified your decision to go subterranean? Why underground?
Well, one of the key reasons was the narrative really led us in that direction, right? The world soul of Azeroth, the stabbing of the world. And so this was a location where we felt that there were many cultures and stories that we truly wanted to explore. For instance, Maria was mentioning, the threads of what we've laid in the past. And in terms of inspiration, one of the pieces that the art team takes plenty of inspiration from is what we've seen historically. For instance, in our expansion, Wrath of the Lich King, we saw, we saw hints of the Nerubian Empire, but for the War Within, we thought, how amazing would it be to show them in all their glory? Oh, excellent timing.
What can you tell us about the new playable race, the Earthen? They look really incredible. They're different. They're a neutral race. You can play them as Horde or Alliance. So how's that going to be?
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Earthen is they have been isolated from the rest of sort of civilization for a terribly long time. And they were created, in fact, to take on specific tasks. They're in three different sort of categories. There's the machine speakers that were responsible for taking care of the great machinery that sort of powers everything under Khazalgar, and probably more of the world than we know. There's the Oathbound, who are protecting the core way, which allows you to go down to sort of the center of our world. And then there's the Unbound, who are the ones that have sort of begun to doubt, because it's been a long time they've been here. The Titans gave them these edicts that sort of drive their need to do these things. But they haven't seen the Titans in a very long time, and they're beginning to question and wonder. So that makes them very interesting. And then just in terms of how they look, there's still that rocky, crystalline, gem-studded sort of look, which is really cool for customization. Tina knows a lot more about that part though than I do.
And they eat gems instead of food.
There's definitely hints of their culture that we make unique to them, right? They're made of rock, so they don't burn. They, might remineralize in these little pools, so it's really fun.
Okay, I'd like to touch really quickly on quality of life improvements. Can you tell us about warbands and how that's going to make everyone's lives easier, maybe?
Yeah, something that we really have been leaning into this expansion is really meeting the players where they're at and seeing how they're playing the game. So now we see so many players play multiple characters. They have alts, and we're really made this huge, engineering effort to make it so that the way that they play for all their different characters combines together in a way that we're calling the warband. In terms of their achievements, there's a shared warband bank, and we think this will be a huge quality of life improvement for everyone.
Okay, and racing ahead, because we're so short of time, I want to talk about delves. Now these are like mini dungeons, and you can take any kind of party, or you can play them solo. It doesn't matter what group of classes you've got with you. How is that going to work? What's the difficulty pitched at for those?
Yeah, we're so excited because delves are, again, meeting the players where they're at.
Okay.
There's definitely this flexible group situation, right? So there's a different scaling difficulty. So you could choose different levels depending on the level of challenge that you want, and you could go in either solo or with up to 4 friends. And so this will be a way for a lot of players who historically have been, underserved with endgame progression to get their opportunity to feel like they're able to constantly progress week by week.
And they're super short, 10, 15 minutes?
I think that's one of the key parts, is that we were trying to think of our players that don't have a big block of time to play, but they want to jump in the game. Maybe the baby's taking a nap and they're like, oh, I have half an hour. I'm gonna go run a couple delves. And then this gives them an opportunity too. Our Great Vault now has a row on it for doing these outdoor activities that then rewards very good quality gear. So those folks that just can't, get together with 40 of their friends, can just pop in and have this fun, and then get back to what they need to do, what life, is sort of requiring of them.
Like maybe 20 years ago when you started playing, you had all the time for raids, and now you've got 15 minutes of an evening to do a delve.
Yep.
All right, well, let's talk about raids, though. For the people who are raiding, can we talk about the major raid? It's called Nerabah, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we will find out through the course of our main story questing about a little bit of a struggle. We've seen a video that we've put out that shows how Queen Ansarak came to power. And this is where this is her palace, and we're going to need to go in there and attempt to defeat her. So it's a very exciting raid. It's in that classic Nerubian architecture. For people that are terrified of spiders, of which there are many, we have the option to turn on our arachnophobia mode, which turns spiders visually for you into crabs. But the queen doesn't change. The queen will always be the queen.
Okay, if you can handle just one big spider, you're going to be okay.
Yes.
Unless you're afraid of crabs.
In
which
case,
stick with the spiders.
She was very difficult to truly mistake for a spider. So we thought
Was the arachnophobia mode based on community feedback?
It was a mix there. So even our internal developers, back when we made our original Rubians, there were a lot fewer polygons then, maybe. But now the art team creates models with such high fidelity that we thought, well, we have a lot of, crab or crab-like things in the games. We think that this is a very simple way for us to help players feel more comfortable in the world, should they choose.
Okay, final question. Who is your favorite boss in the dungeon, in the raid?
Ooh, okay, so the queen is pretty awesome, but there is this one Nerubian flyer boss who I really like him because he also shows up in one of our dungeons, but you don't really defeat him, but then in the raid he shows back up, so there's that continuity there.
Recognition,
familiarity. Yes, exactly, and there's these awesome platforms, so there's some really cool stuff going on in that fight.
All right, Maria, do you have a favorite?
I love Queen Ansarak. I think it is the most amazing fight. I'm really looking forward to having people get in there and get going, and just can't wait to see how that plays out.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, World of Warcraft, The War Within is out August 26th for PC and Mac. That's less than a week away, but if you need something to help pass the time until then, don't worry, there's lots more Gamescom Studio coming up right here on IGN, so stick around.
From the creators of PUBG Battlegrounds, Dark and Darker Mobile is a brand new mobile game from the developers over at Krafton. Pioneering a new genre called Extraction RPG, Dark and Darker Mobile incorporates dungeon crawler elements, a battle royale mode, and a medieval low fantasy RPG experience. If that sounds right up your alley, well, then you're in luck. Dark and Darker Mobile global registration is available now and is playable not just on iOS and Android mobile devices, but also on PC via Google Play Games. Check out a sneak preview of the game in this brand new teaser trailer. Enjoy.
Follow my lead!
Shut up! You can't even run properly!
What the?
IGN store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons and Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning into the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN store.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed it. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on Cinefix, IGN, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Why so serious?
Superheroes are supposed to fight supervillains, but as anyone who reads comics can tell you, a lot of the time they also fight each other. So it was a matter of time before we got a superhero shooter that pits iconic heroes against each other. Here to tell us about Marvel Rivals, we've got Zhiyong Feng, Danny Ku from Marvel Games, and Liu Dingchen, who will be translating. Hello.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
Good. So we saw another 2 characters being introduced that I know a lot of people are really excited for. We've got Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Can you tell us how they'll play, what their kit looks like?
OK，美国队长呢，我们在设计的时候呢，首先就是会考虑他就是 I can do this all day。那基于此呢，我们去设计了他很高的一个机动能力，方便他在敌人的战场和队友的战场中间就是来回穿梭，again and again。然后其次呢，我们围绕着他的盾牌展开了丰富的一个设计。然后比如说，他可以去反弹钢铁侠的大招、格鲁特的大招，这些非常有意思的一些点。然后最后呢，就是他的大招会展现他的一个领导气概，去带领他的队友去冲向敌人，然后赢得这一场的游戏。
All right. So basically, when we're talking about Captain American, we have the core concept of I can do this all day. So we give Captain America very high mobility, so he can run into the battlefield and then come back for to his ally for more supplement. And for the design of his shield, he can reflect projectiles or even the ultimate from Iron Man. Yeah, that is awesome. And also, in Captain America's ultimate can show his leadership that to charge with the entire team to the battlefield.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so then that brings me to the question of how will the synergies work with the team-ups with Captain America? I'm assuming Captain America and Winter Soldier will have a team-up.
No, they're actually rivals in this game.
So, okay, never mind.
As you can see at the trailer, Captain America say, "Hey, Bucky, stop it," and he's like, "No." Right? Hence, they don't have a team-up. But Captain America gonna have a synergy with Thor. Thor blasts his electrical property on Captain America's shield, and where he can electrify his attack, basically.
Okay.
And then for Winter Soldier, he does have a team up with Rocket. So Rocket will supply him infinite ammo for a short duration of time, and he can do whatever he needs to do on the battlefield.
Wow, yeah, okay, that's amazing. I love that they're divided. People are gonna love that.
Oh, yeah.
So with new players and new characters, I wanted to ask, since the release is this year, when new characters do come out in each season, will players have to purchase those characters, or will they be released for free?
So we announced that all heroes are unlocked from the beginning. So it's free, just jump in, pick your favorite heroes and play, and that goes beyond as well. Yeah. So if new heroes get added, you just play from the get-go.
Okay, wow, yeah, so with the Battle Pass system, I think a lot of people are curious because it did change a little bit from the beta. Can you go into detail as to how the structure is going to look? Will there be dailies and repeatables that will give you XP?
We did some testing during alpha, beta, and there's some response, positive response on the Battle Pass, and I think we're going to expand that to allow more activities for the players. Please look forward to it. We will show a roadmap as we go closer to the launch date.
Yeah, so speaking of feedback from the beta, what was the biggest piece of feedback you got from the players? Because we did see that balancing was kind of an issue, especially with the season bonuses that some players could get, like Venom getting 150 health. So what was the biggest piece of feedback that will be implemented for launch?
So actually, the biggest piece of feedback coming out from beta is when is the next beta? That's the actual biggest one. As to game balancing in the nature of game development, we work with the community to kind of listen, like what they think is overpowered, what they think is underpowered, and we'll take that, working with the design team to kind of figure out via data and maintaining the fun, but balancing the game for the players. So we make this game for the players, and they tell us what they want to play.
Yeah, so you make it for the players, but I feel like also, if you have a favorite superhero, you kind of make it for yourself, right? So is your favorite hero in this game, and if not, who's your favorite hero and who do you want to put into the game?
Really? 对于我们来说，我们所有的英雄，我们每一个人都非常的热爱。对于开发者团队来讲， 因为我们就是需要确保每一个英雄它都是足够独特且有意思的，这样子玩家在游玩这个英雄的时候，才能觉得我真正在扮演这个英雄。所以说，对我们来讲，也许私下玩的时候会有一些特别喜欢的英雄，但是你如果问我 What's my favorite， I'm going to tell you everyone.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just as he said, for the team, we like every hero, and we just want to make every hero has its own unique point, and also making players feel like they are truly embodying the character is our top priority.
Yeah, at Marvel, we work with the NetEase Games team very closely. So about 70 to 75% of all those greatest hit of heroes that you might know from the movies, the TV shows, or the comics. And we throw some curveball in it for like 20% of them, and deep cut from over 85 years of Marvel history that we can pick from.
But which one's your favorite here?
My favorite's already in there.
Oh, really?
I co-created Luna Snow for Marvel back in 2019. So.
Wow, yeah, see, I didn't know that Jeff the Landshark was going to be my favorite, but he absolutely
he's
is.
adorable.
I love so much that his sound design, he sings the little song as he goes into he moves towards you.
Yes, yes, it was great working with the voice actor as well on this, bringing Jeff from the comics to life in this 3D environment. I think the NetEase Games did a fantastic job interpret how a land shark that acts like a dog works in a battlefield, which is fantastic to see.
Okay, I have to ask, just because he's my favorite character, and I do play support quite often. Do we know what kind of skins he's going to get? Like, is he going to get one of those Kigurumi suits with the little dog ears? That'd be really cute.
I can say it's going to be very cute for sure. Basically, Jeff can basically wear anything he wants and look cute.
Yeah.
It's a little adorable land puppy.
Yeah.
Like he's a shark.
Yeah. So the last question, what are you the most excited for players to get their hands on with the full release?
翻译
对，
是你期待那个玩家们在上线的时候会看什么？
我们希望就是首先可以肯定啊，我们上线的时候还会有比 CBT 更多的内容，包括英雄，包括地图，所以我们希望在玩家上线的时候可以体会到就是大吃一惊，就我们有很多的新英雄可以体验，同时呢就是还有一些新加入的协同，这些东西都可以带来非常不一样的漫威的体验，而且是独属于漫威争锋的一个体验，我们就非常希望玩家能够感受到这一点。
Okay, so when a game released, there will be more new heroes and maps, and we will definitely surprise the players, and there will be more team-up skills. And also, we want to make sure that to offer this exclusive Marvel Rivals experience to the players.
I'm just looking forward to players making new friends and rivals, frenemies on this. We have a very strong community, and they make new friends every day through playing these games, and I look forward to that.
I was going to say, a lot of my friends that I played with, we are now enemies. So there's that whole experience. But thank you so much for adding Jeff the Landshark, my favorite character.
Thank you.
Now, Jeff the Landshark and everyone else will be releasing December 6th on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, so you really don't have to wait long. We've got more Gamescom coverage coming up right here at IGN.
If you push too much, you might unleash the beast.
Hello and welcome to IGN here at Gamescom. Matt and I have just seen a hands-off demo of Dying Light The Beast, which was recently revealed at ONL last night. Now, we got about, 30 minutes of game time?
Yeah.
Didn't see a whole lot, but I guess the first thing that they mentioned was it was originally a DLC pack for Dying Light 2.
Yeah, so much so that actually if you own the Dying Light 2 Ultimate Edition, this game is going to be free for you. So it was going to be a DLC, and then they had like a massive leak, which meant that all the narrative kind of got spoilt for a lot of people. So they were like, what we're going to do is we're going to completely change what this is. We're going to go back to the start, and we're going to make a whole new DLC that then turned into a standalone game. And that's what the Beast is. And it kind of, if you're a Dying Light fan, it goes right back to the start of the story in some respects.
Yeah, so it's a return of the original protagonist, but he's been held captive by the Baron for the last 10 years, but he's escaped. But he is now the Beast. That means he's got superpowers, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But for the first part of the demo, it was very much like Dying Light, business as usual, parkouring across the city as the sun was slowly setting in the evening.
Yeah, so you're definitely not the character that you were in Dying Light 2, and that means there are slight differences. So Dying Light 2, it's parkour, very much made use of kind of like a paraglider. They didn't show anything like this. I think you will be completely, I'd say boots on the ground, but the boots quite often aren't on the ground in parkour. But also when kind of like it came to night, there was no suggestion that you're infected and you can only stay out at night for a certain amount of time. There was no immunity meter. So I think at night, it's kind of like, just do as much as you want. Just make sure you don't get spotted, because as is the typical thing for Dying Light, when the lights go out, everything gets much harder.
Yeah, so we got a glimpse of one of the sort of superpowers that you have, and it's almost like, I guess, X-ray. So if you sit still, crouch down, you can see where the enemies are moving around, and that means like when you've got some of the really bad freaks that you want to avoid, it makes it a lot easier. But then one of the things that you very quickly did, you find solace in the safe houses that are dotted around the map. Obviously, it's an open world game, so you got to go and find those. And there were some simple puzzles to kind of get that up and running. You had to find the power fuse to make sure there was energy, which powered the UV rays, because the UV rays keeps the infected away. So that was pretty basic stuff that we've seen in Dying Light before. And then the next day, when it was morning, we woke up, and I thought it looked quite different. It's a very rural area compared to what we've seen in previous Dying Lights.
Yeah, kind of like Dying Light 2 was very much set in, you started in an old town and you moved into New Town, and that, whilst it was set in Europe, had kind of very elements of old European towns into more modern architecture. There were skyscrapers, whereas it's sort of set in a rural village. There's a lot more kind of trees. There's a railway track that runs into that village. So it does feel more kind of like on the outskirts of civilization, which will obviously impact what parkour elements that we can use. Hopefully not too much. I'm hoping there's still plenty of rooftops to run around. Certainly seemed like it. But yeah, it had a different vibe to that environment than what Dying Light 2 is.
And then so shortly after, basically the goal of this very early mission was to go and find the Baron, who is hiding out in a factory on the outskirts of town. You get there and there are a lot of guards. And up until this point, the game has very much been play stealth.
Yep.
And you take it easy because you're massively outnumbered. But it very quickly turns, because you take one of the guys out, you grab his assault rifle, and then it basically became a shooter.
Yeah, it's quite an unusual direction. So Dying Light 2 fans will know that earlier this year they did the firearms update, which brought a variety of actual kind of like, gun weapons into the game. If you know about those, you'll be quite familiar with the guns that are in this version of Dying Light. But yeah, I'd say about half of the demo that we watched, it wasn't the melee kind of focused zombie killing game that we're used to with Dying Light. This was a shooter. They promised that it's not turned into a full-bore shooter, but what they were showing was a full-bore shooter, and not a bad-looking one by any means.
There was a whole section where you're clearing out the inside of this factory against half a dozen guards, where you've got a shotgun, you've got an assault rifle, you've got grenades, and that's very different. The crunchy melee combat is still there. Yeah. It feels very much still like Dying Light, but once you've got a gun, there's no limit on ammo really, or there didn't seem to be.
Yeah, they ran out of ammo by the end of the demo, but within all of the scenarios they were showing us, ammo didn't seem to be a problem in the way that I would have assumed it would be for a Dying Light, but also all of the enemies had guns, so we're shifting from a game where you've got zombies that don't shoot you because they're brain dead, and there were kind of like, you're going up against kind of rebel groups and sort of scavengers, and they might have had kind of some intelligence use guns, but you're going up against the Baron's actual armed forces, which means that all of the encounter design is suddenly very, very different. And as I say, seem to be not a bad shooter. I don't know what those guns feel like because we've not played it, but I would hope that those encounters felt as solid as the melee did.
And it definitely feels like, it was all building up to the final encounter, which is against the new strain of the freak school, the Behemoth. It's this huge guy with, mega muscles. He can throw cars, he can throw rocks. He does a ground pound that shoots across the floor. And at that point, you've got a few guns, a few, clips of ammo, but that's, I guess, when the beast finally comes into play. And so, we sat through a 30-minute demo, and in the final 5 minutes, we finally got to see an idea of what the beast actually is.
And I guess it's almost that there's a slight Bruce Banner of it, I suppose. Like, the Behemoth was very Hulk-like. It was doing Hulk smashes. And the guns were reasonably effective, but once they'd run out of ammunition, melee attacks weren't doing anything. So you can unleash the beast. Now, in Dying Light 2, your character was infected and did have beast-like powers, but they only triggered at certain story moments. It seems to me that you can trigger the beast at any time you want this time. I guess provided you built up a meter or something, but they were very familiar attacks in that you could ground pound and that will create a shockwave. You could strike out with your hands. They even showed him picking up a concrete block and hurling it at the Behemoth. And that obviously seemed to be much more effective than any assault rifle ever was going to be against this guy.
And I guess the crowning moment was when he finally tore the head off of the beast, and that was the end of the demo. I came away thinking, it's more Dying Light.
Yeah.
It looks good, but ultimately, it's all about how good that gunplay feels, because it looks like that's such a big focus this time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much they've said that it's not going to turn into a gun game. What they showed us suggests that guns are much, much more key and integral to the game than they were before. And if all of that works, if the encounter design is good, then this could be an interesting spin on Dying Light. I hope it is.
So that's everything that we know about Dying Light the Beast. For everything else Gamescom, keep it locked right here at IGN.
Get ready for the next ambitious video game, Dimensionals, a fast-paced RPG that delivers roguelike replayability with action-packed tactics. Collect heroes, level them up, and build a party of 3 to fight bosses throughout different dimensions. Equip your heroes with a diverse set of skills and watch as they come together to create a barrage of attacks and combos. Told in the style of voice-acted comic book cutscenes, experience the rush as you fight your way through dimensions to save the multiverse. Want a better idea of the game? Check out this trailer and dive into the world of Dimensionals, launching on all platforms in 2025 with early access this November on Steam.
When the Rift is in trouble, the only ones you can rely on are... Dimensionals is the hottest new roguelike RPG. Put together incredible teams of unique heroes. Like Short, he's a bit of a dummy, but he loves blasting specters. Or the mysterious Shade Strike, the smooth-tongued gambler from the Shadow Dimension. Assemble your favorite heroes, strategize to make insane combos. But watch out, because Ragnarok's world-crushing bosses are no joke. Take on the Rift in style with the epic cartoon soundtrack by Frag. Experience wicked comic cutscenes in Dimensional's campaign mode, or blast your way through the open rift and face incredible and unpredictable challenges. Encounter a huge cast of characters like the Rogue Rifters, here to help you take down the bad guys. Or are they? Side effects of Dimensionals will include fun, addiction to victory, temporary loss of reality, and spontaneous combustion due to awesome. Some similar required batters not included.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today. Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion. IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides. Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
Next year, Avowed is turning players loose in a whole new corner of the Pillars of Eternity universe.
Here to tease what's waiting for us in the Living Lands is game director Carrie Patel from Obsidian. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first thing that jumps out to me about this game is we've gotten a lot of open world fantasy games, and a lot of them for a long time were very sort of sepia toned, you know, a lot of browns and ochres, but this has major splashes of color everywhere. I love it. What sort of inspired this art direction? Because it feels like high fantasy.
Yeah, so big props to our project's art director, Matt Hansen. Color, vibrancy is super important to him, and it also really brings to life the fantasy of the Living Lands. And the lore of the Living Lands throughout Pillars is it's this kind of larger-than-life frontier island where you've got all these different biomes and monsters and kind of never-before-seen sights, and a place like that just has to be colorful.
Yeah, it's got that sort of 70s album cover flavor
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it, which I love.
Yeah, I just want to point out also the dual-wielding wands is really selling it for me.
Yes. Wait till you try dual pistols.
Oh, yeah, it's so fast. I love it. So you were talking about the breathing world, and for me, I love exploration, but I also love storylines. So I wanted to ask, how many different endings are there in Avowed?
Ooh. Okay, that is very hard to say. I can tell you that our ending slides number in the double digits, and you can end up with a lot of different combinations of them. I mean, this is an Obsidian game, so your ending is really the sum total of your choices across the game, across a lot of pieces of content, depending on what you encountered and what you did when you found it.
So no pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah. So, I mean, this feels like something that is specifically designed to be experienced in multitudes of ways and replayed over and over. Is that something you're looking for players doing? Is just like playing this game repeatedly over and over in completely different variants and deviations and stuff like that?
Absolutely, and you know, we've built our gameplay around, you know, giving you a lot of options for how you approach combat, how you build out your character. You can, you know, choose one of your classic, you know, fighter, rogue, wizard, fantasy archetypes, or you can choose something that where you mix and match styles, you mix and match weapons. There's a lot of freedom in how you progress, and you can really build whatever kind of character you want to play. And in terms of the storyline, there are really a lot of choices to be made too, about kind of where your true loyalties lie, kind of who your allegiance is with in the end game, and so we're really excited to see players explore those possibilities and just build their own story.
So I'm definitely very new to the Pillars of Eternity universe. Will this be very beginner friendly to kind of maybe spark their interest to research more about that universe?
Absolutely. So we're expecting that a lot of players are going to come to Avowed as their first game set in the world of Aora. So for players who are returning Pillars fans, there's certainly some callbacks, references, and cameos that they'll recognize. But for players who have never set foot in the world of Aora before, they're going to have a great time too. And we've built our game to draw them into this world. And you know, one thing you might notice in some of the dialogue is we have these lore tooltips. So if you see a highlighted term that's unfamiliar, you can press X when it pops up and get a brief explanation of what that is without interrupting the flow of the conversation.
Oh, it's like my little ebooks where I get
Exactly,
to see
yeah.
the description.
Just watching this play out here, it seems like there's a ton of different combat options and enemies. What are some of your personal favorites, Carrie?
Oh, goodness. Well, I love to hate healers because they undo all of your hard work. But some of my favorites are really the brute archetypes. They're these big, heavy hitters, which you can kind of see with the Godless Executioner that you're seeing in this run. What I love about them is they have these really big, heavy-hitting attacks, but they're also super easy to read. So it's really fun to maneuver and dodge around them, and every time they smack you, you're like, I wasn't paying attention, was I?
So you brought up rogue as a type that you can be. Can you steal from people's pockets?
There are a few dialogue options that let you do that. This isn't a game where we have a really thorough crime system, because my goodness, if you tick off everybody in the Living Lands, who do you have left? But yeah, you can make use of some of those skills.
Wait, okay. Can you actually kill a lot of the NPCs in this game? Like, I don't know if the quest NPCs are, impervious, but...
It's a totally fair question. In this game, we decided not to go with the kill everybody approach. It creates a lot of chaos and a lot of fun, but we felt we could create the game we wanted without that.
You'll have to get your aggression out elsewhere.
I know, I'm sorry. That was a very me question.
There are plenty of other things to kill, though.
Can I kill all the harmless people in the game? No, calm down.
All right.
So there are a lot of fantasy RPGs out now. There's been sort of a renaissance. What's something that you all knew you had to do to make Avowed sort of stick out and be its own thing?
So I think one thing we really wanted to do with this game is integrate the companions very closely into the experience and the story. So the companions have a whole lot of content to discover. A lot of it really is driven by the player. You can choose to stop and talk to them at party camp, or you can say, you know what, we're on my adventure and we're just going to go forward, and that's fine too. But they will all play an integral role in your story. They have skills and perspectives that'll help you understand the world and also help you get where you need to go and survive along the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so final question I want to ask, because you said there are so many endings. Is there one canon ending?
In my opinion, there's never a canon ending. It's your experience.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I will go out there and, I'll be a peacemaker this time.
Whatever ending you get, Stella, you can pretend that's the one that everyone thinks is the official canon for the end of the game.
The one time being the main character is okay. Well, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. I am very excited to see Avowed later. And you can check out Avowed for yourself when it hits PC and Xbox Series X and S on February 18th. But right now, there's more Gamescom Studio on the way, so stick around.
If only there was some sort of sign as to where we are this morning. Jane, do you enjoy Xbox?
You know I bloody do enjoy Xbox. And here we are on the Xbox booth. There's signage, there's PC games, there's mobile games, there's console games, there's your next favourite game, apparently in that direction.
I've heard there's loads of statues, loads of photo ops in here. Probably going to make a fool of myself.
Let's do it. Okay, so we've split off from Simon. We're going to check out the Xbox booth. What we've got playable demos over here, photo ops on the Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road, all kinds of booths happening that way. Over here, though, we've got World of Warcraft looking extremely cool. There's demos of the War Within up there, but down here, we've got people being blasted in the face by fans. They're wearing VR headsets. That looks cool. Let's go check it out. You're joining me at the World of Warcraft War Within booth here at the back of the Xbox booth at Gamescom. And we've got the War Within, but we've also got these incredible 4D immersive rigs. The fourth dimension is air blasters. Let's go and take a look.
We have to get out of here! Evasive maneuvers! For Dalaran!
That was World of Warcraft Escape from Dalaran, a little taster in 4 dimensions of World of Warcraft The War Within. And if my hair is a mess, if my makeup is a mess, if I look like I might have motion sickness, no, only kidding, I don't have motion sickness, then it's because of Escape from Dalaran. It was genuinely very, very, very good, like almost theme park good. I wish you could join me here at Gamescom and try this out.
If you're going to take anything away from today, maybe you'd like to know that in German, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is Indiana Jones and the Großer Kreis. But the thing I've got my eye on here is a hat and a whip. Long-time Indiana Jones fan. Going to live out my fantasy. Do I want to say I have a fantasy with a whip? I don't know. This is a different type. As you can see, Harrison Ford probably a little bit smaller than me, especially when it comes to head size. But do you know what? I'm ready to take on the role.
You join me now at the Avowed Theatre, but we're not going into the theatre. Look how regal. Instead, we're going over here to the Avowed photo op. Join me now, if I may. I'm getting the nod, we are allowed. We're going to the Avowed photo op that we scoped out earlier because there are, my friend, swords. And, well, my build is kind of like a dual-wield microphone sword build. Now, I'm looking at them and they do appear to be affixed. So actually, on closer inspection, I'm not going to be waving any of these swords around. So what the heck, Avowed? Well, here's the photo op. Let's tap to begin. And then agree to the privacy policy. Oh, and it's like we're there. And I'm casting, there you go, dual wield, microphone magic build.
See what else we can find around here. I don't know. Oh, there's Jane. God, she is so much better at this than me. Can you tell she's a professional? Because I'm definitely not.
Pow. I am controlling this. There you go. Game of the show. Game of the show. Magic. Caster. Microphone build.
Now, Microsoft said this was one of the biggest, if not the biggest booth they've ever had at Gamescom. And I think it's just like this bloody massive Doom guy in here. I've not really got anything more to say about it than it's bloody massive.
Now, I loved Space Marine 1. It was my entry into the Warhammer 40k universe. And I'm here on the Space Marine 2 booth today, joined by none other than Demetrian Titus. How you doing, Demetrian? Hang on, 1 second. I think he's doing well. I think he's ready to meet his fans here on the Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 booth. We've been all around the Xbox booth. We're bathed in the glorious green light of Xbox branding. And for our troubles, we have won tokens, precious tokens. That means it's time for the claw machine. Let's go. Now, I hear you're very good at claw machines.
I mean, I shouldn't have said this, should I?
You literally said before we started filming that you're good at claw machines. So let's
need
see
all
it.
4 to have one go.
With our powers combined, we're going to win a prize.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hello.
We have got 4.
We come with tokens. There we go.
Go.
Combined.
Do we play until we win, or do we just get one go? Just one go. That's a lot of pressure, isn't it?
Oh, the pressure. Do you want me to take this? You're going to need both hands.
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I can do this.
All right.
I can do this. What do we go for?
You can have a ping pong ball. No, it's like a stress ball or a pop socket.
I'm going for like the turquoisey one. I like the look of that. Maybe
this
the one
is
in the middle on
strategic.
its own.
All right.
It's kind of sitting up nicely.
Okay. Oh.
I'm not feeling good about that. I'm not feeling good about that at all.
Oh, no. Oh,
Is that
it's
it?
all come to nothing here on the Xbox stand.
Well, do you know what?
What do
you
I
get
know?
much better value on Game Pass. Well, no prizes for us, but isn't the real prize the fun we had at the Xbox booth at Gamescom?
The real prize was the friendship we forged along the way.
If you say so. I mean, yeah,
All right,
okay.
fine.
What was the best thing you did today?
I had a lovely time over on the Escape from Dalaran 4-dimensional experience. It was immersive, things blew up, and I got wind blown in my face. What more could you ask for?
I don't know. That's all I want in
Literally
life.
nothing else. What about you? What was
I
your
think my
favourite?
favourite thing was getting to cosplay as Indiana Jones. I looked like an absolute fool. The hat was about 4 times too small for my head. But you know what?
Yeah.
I reckon, God forbid, when Harrison Ford passes from this immortal coil, maybe I'm next.
You're ready. Voiced by Troy Baker.
I would love to be voiced by Troy Baker. It's better than this voice. And speaking of which, I think people are probably sick of hearing about it by now, but I've had do you know what, Jane, it's a big booth.
It's a big booth, big green booth.
You're watching Gamescom 2024, and we've been getting so many looks at so many cool games, but now we get to talk about the best one of all. I'm here with Ed Beach, the creative director at Firaxis Games, to discuss my personal game of the show, Civ 7.
Well, that's awesome that it's your personal game, so
yeah,
what more could I want?
I was telling you off screen that I just got into Civ 6 and now I have to relearn Civ 7, but I think that's fine.
We're trying to make it so the barrier of entry is a little bit lower than before. Civ 6 could get a little dense in places. If you jumped in at the end with all the expansions and all the content there, that's actually not the easiest place to start. So I think Civ 7 might be just the move you want to make.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So you're leading me into my next question, which, so you've been consistently updating Civ 6 and there's a lot of mod support. So why is now the best time for a Civ 7?
Well, we've been thinking about Civ 7 for quite a while. We started work on the game before the pandemic, so it's been in development quite a while. The design team had ideas that worked really well in Civ 6, but had some side effects in terms of like the game takes a really long time to play. By the time you get late in the game, there's an awful lot of cities and units and so forth to manage. And we wanted to think about that and come up with a different approach so that we could make the game more manageable, more approachable, and actually just get players all the way to the finish line more often than had been happening in previous Civ games.
Yeah, I can't tell you the amount of times I've stayed up till 3 a.m. playing just one more round, you know?
Right.
It's got me. So Gathering Storm and its global warming mechanics were such a dynamic change for the core gameplay. Is that something that's going to be implemented in Civ 7?
So we're not talking a lot yet about what comes after sort of the exploration age, after the Renaissance. The first age we're diving all the way into right now, and we have demos and so forth of that. We're not going to forget about climate change, though. It was very personally impactful when we got to work on that with Gathering Storm. I was the lead designer of that expansion. I looked up a lot of things about climate change, researched it, we're not a simulator type of game, but tried to get some of the things right in terms of how sea level rise works and storms move across the globe and so forth. So we brought a lot of that forward with us, and what you can see in the game right now that we're demoing with the Antiquity Age is there still are floods, there's still volcanic eruptions, we still have the storms that sweep across the map. So a lot of that Gathering Storm mechanics, ideas, whatever, that we still have those.
Okay, yeah, that's really exciting. So is that part of the crises that is being implemented into this new system?
So those are sort of adjacent, but similar. We have several different crises. The one that we're demoing right now is an invasion crisis. Sort of imagine you're the Roman Empire and you've gotten too big and everyone wants a little piece of your action, and so those barbarians are at your gate and knocking on down the door. So that's the one that we're demoing in the build we have here right now, but we're working on other types of crises, things like unrest in your population or plagues, and some of those systems for crises use the same random event system that we use for the natural disasters.
Oh, okay. I have been very lucky and I haven't had that, so I'm going to keep crossing my fingers.
You'll hit one soon in Civ 6, I'm sure.
Oh, great. Thank you for that. Thank you for
Sorry to break the news, but it's going to happen.
I'll prepare myself.
Yeah.
So why did you switch from the era system to the age system?
So it is part of the trying to get people to have a game that is more manageable. 4X games have the problem in general that you start with just your first unit, you get one city down, you think, wow, this game's great, it's very manageable. When I get tens and dozens of cities and so many units to manage, everything bogs down. And we wanted to break our game up into chapters, very much like maybe a long book series or TV series that you might be enjoying, breaks itself up into seasons or books. So we could have like big traumatic moments like these crises that you were talking about, but then also give players a chance to breathe a little bit and reset things and simplify things, and that allows you to pace the player through a long experience in a more satisfying way than just saying, oh no, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and you just got to keep up. So it's a nice new way to tackle that problem, and we're really excited about how it's playing out.
Okay, as a new Civ player, I'm very happy to hear that. But for returning players, do you think it's still challenging enough that they'll find this new system interesting and?
Well, the experience is still just as long overall. Okay. So we actually do sort of a deeper, more immersive dive into the history of each historical age than before. And some of the gameplay mechanics, we can make deeper changes to them so that they unfold differently, maybe in our antiquity age than in our exploration age. Like our trade system's different in all three ages. So I think there's plenty for people to get, dive deep in. We've recently demoed the game to a whole bunch of our community veterans. They're really excited about the possibilities and theory crafting and everything. So there's going to be plenty for everyone.
What was the best piece of feedback you got back from the community?
I think one thing we had to be really careful about is now that we've broken the game up into ages, we make you really think about who you are, which leader and civilizations are representing you in the game, and you get a chance to make a unique sort of historical pathway, like maybe you start as Rome, and where did Rome evolve? Maybe it evolved into another European civ, and that would get you to a Germany or a Britain or France by the end of your game. And players liked that like historical storytelling and immersion, and we did allow some wackier combinations, and some of our fans love that because they love the theory crafting. I want to mix this with that, and I'm going to be super overpowered in science. But we also had to think about what those players who wanted the more historical pathway through our game, and so we've got the game set up so that that's the default way that both the human and the AI proceed through the game, and then you sort of have to, it's up to the player to opt into that wackier play style.
Okay, so you're speaking about being able to change the leaders with each age.
Yeah.
What is the wackiest combination that you've seen so far?
Well, we're not talking about all the leaders and civs that we have now, but you can do things like you can have Augustus Caesar lead India, you can have Hatshepsut of Egypt lead Rome. So some of the things do strike you as a little bit wacky, but there are really good reasons and compelling reasons to try those things out, because that leader and the civ that don't normally go together might have bonuses in the same part of the game, and you just want to explore, wow, what if I get really powerful in culture or in my military strategies? And so those combinations are really compelling. Our quality assurance department, who's playing the game all the time, is like, oh, you got to try this one with that one because that's amazing. So it's great to hear that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. I'm definitely more military forward.
Oh, okay.
So I think I will try one of those combinations. That sounds very compelling to me.
Great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me about this. I'm very excited to start a lot of wars in Civ 7 that I can't finish.
All right. Well, hopefully it just draws you in and you just stick with it because you want to see how it all ends and get all the way through.
Yeah, I don't think I'm the only one that has been caught by that just one more turn. So thank you. Well, that's about the time that we have for today. I am really excited for this game. I'm probably going to go run off and play the demo real quick. But Civ 7 is currently slated to be released in 2025. But between now and then, stay tuned right here for more Gamescom 2024 coverage.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there, period. And by high-tech, we mean it. We've recently added features like personal notes that save to your IGN account, and anything you check off on a map is tracked in the guide as well. It's the perfect system to get to 100%. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing for free at IGN Maps today.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. plus high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store.
Oh hey, welcome back. This is Gamescom Studio live on IGN. We just got brand new looks at Avowed and Civilization 7. And guess what? There's still so much more to come.
Okay, but first, did you know Gamescom itself has been turned into a game? Gamescom Epics is an RPG built right into the Gamescom website that lets you earn cool rewards and discover what the show has to offer. You'll solve puzzles, complete quests, and collect digital trading cards along the way. Head over to Gamescom.global and look for the Epics tab or scan the QR code on screen to begin the adventure.
Gamescom.global is also where you will find out more about the Gamescom Goes Green initiative. This year's show is running on 100% renewable energy, and exhibitors are also doing their part by building more sustainably, reusing portions of their booths, and avoiding single-use material.
Coming up next, we're checking out an extremely cool World of Warcraft 4D VR experience. And after that, we're talking to the team behind Frag, a 5v5 shooter where the rules change every match.
And be sure to join us tomorrow for another jam-packed day of Gamescom Studio, starting with a closer look at Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
But right now, here's a look at a whole new way to experience World of Warcraft that you only find at Gamescom.
Oh my God. Incredible.
World of Warcraft: The War Within is the newest expansion in Blizzard Entertainment's MMORPG franchise and is the opening chapter of the three-part World Soul saga. On August 26th, players will journey through never-before-seen subterranean worlds filled with hidden wonders and lurking perils, down to the dark depths of the Nerubian Empire, where the malicious Harbinger of the Void is gathering arachnid forces to bring Azeroth to its knees. To commemorate the release of World of Warcraft: The War Within and usher in the 20th anniversary of the game, Blizzard assembled several teams to commission something truly special, a 4D VR experience that transports players into Azeroth and kicks off the World Soul saga with a bang. And what better way to break down Escape from Dalaran than by taking a peek behind the curtain to get an inside look with some of the people who made it all possible. Presented by World of Warcraft: The War Within.
It's a really interesting time for World of Warcraft. The 20th anniversary is coming up. We have the World Soul Saga. Chris Metzen's back. This is a big deal for us. Already, it was kind of the question of how do we do something more where someone can experience World of Warcraft, something that they've always dreamed of, but they've never gotten to actually do it in real life.
Let's move! Lots of people have seen VR, lots of people have, a lot of this technology has been around for a while, but what hasn't been done is a focus on a single person's experience and being able to control certain key sensory modalities to drive the deepest illusion.
We've flown right into the heart of the Nerubian Empire.
Normally you're in a virtual environment with a headset, but when the world picks up and moves in concert to what your virtual experience is, this is a completely new dimension.
It's assault on all of your senses. We have the chair movement synchronized with the VR image, where you get to fly on a mount, a mythical flying horse invincible from WoW, through City of Dalaran, while it's actually being destroyed.
We have a number of layers that all come together to allow us to do this experience. We have a marine fan that allows you to feel the wind. We also have air cannons. Those are basically air amplifiers that shoot puffs of air at you. And then obviously the platform itself, which has 6 axes of motion that allow us to have complete control over the way the person moves.
So sick.
We used an incredibly high bandwidth 40 gigabit connection directly into the headset, ported right out of a very powerful GPU.
Not only we recreated every single model from the game and made it ultra detailed, it all had to run in 4K in 120 FPS.
You know, we knew going in, the kind of aha moment is the tower coming down at the top of Dalaran, and then the chairs moving, and you're diving down in this free fall going into the underground sewers. Like, that is just awesome. Being able to go to Aj-Kahet, one of the new zones in the War Within, and really look around and see it from a whole new perspective that you're never going to be able to do in the game is really incredible, and I think that's the thing that I'm the most excited about.
Hopefully for people that are new to the game or people that are enthusiasts, they really feel like they got a chance to live and experience 3 minutes of what it's like to be in the world of Warcraft.
Having the level of collaboration across Apex, Blizzard teams, that level of human collaboration, all focus on the sole intent of bringing the game to life in an immersive way. I've never been a part of anything like that, and I just want to applaud all the team members in this because it takes an army to put together an experience like this.
Azeroth itself will be mine.
The fact that we managed to connect it all as one experience seamlessly, that just amazes me.
You know, I hope that people realize that, you know, things like these, they don't happen overnight. It's a lot of passion from a lot of people. Everyone's super passionate and committed to really delivering some amazing and magical experiences. And I really do hope that the fans get on this thing and they're just, minds are blown, right? That's the dream.
We are now literally stopping this interview and heading to Germany.
We're ready to go off to Cologne, Germany, and unleash this on Gamescom, so let's go.
Be sure to check out this one-of-a-kind, groundbreaking experience, which will be at Gamescom from August 22nd to the 25th. If you can't check out Escape from Dalaran, but still want to be part of the experience, then make sure to check out World of Warcraft: The War Within when it releases on August 26th for PC and Mac.
Fragpunk is a 5v5 hero shooter where the rules change based on the luck of the draw. And here to tell us what's in the cards is Xin Chang, creative director and producer on the game, and Junwei Shi, who'll be interpreting. Hello, welcome.
Hello, hello. Hello. Hello, Gamescom. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, IGN.
So I have never seen people use well, actually, we have seen a few FPSs use cards as a system, but this is the one where it really relies on that. So can you explain the shard card mechanic and why you decided to go that route with your game?
就是我们之前有见过很多，有见过一些就是有把卡牌跟 FPS 结合在一起的游戏，但是我们从来没有见过这么一款巨大的制作以及那么精良的设计。你能谈论一下关于你的在设计这个碎片卡这个 shard card system 的时候的一些灵感，还有它是如何设计出来的吗？
我们的卡牌系统，它的核心点在于它要去修改整个游戏的一个规则，就是它不仅仅是去改变数值，或是去改变一些，或者是增加一些 buff， 它是要去改变整个游戏的规则。然后我为什么能想到这一点，是因为其实我本身是一个射击游戏爱好者，但同时我也是一个卡牌游戏的爱好者。我一直在想如何把这两类游戏做一个结合。然后，在玩射击游戏的时候，我试图去让每一回合变得并不一样。然后后来我找到了卡牌这个载体，就是让每一回合通过卡牌去改变这个规则。
Okay, so the shard card system is very unique because it will change a lot of whole components in the games, and not just damages or just numbers, but the whole rules. And we believe that this is the very unique part of the Fragpunk. And as for the inspiration of Fragpunk of the card systems, actually I am a very avid FPS players and card game players, so it was almost an instinct for me to combine these two together. And by doing this, I believe that I can add the randomness and varieties from the card games into the FPS gunfights.
Yeah, okay, so you play a lot of FPSs. I feel like in this, I see a lot of CSGO, Valorant, and maybe even a little bit of Apex with the abilities that the characters have. What would you say were your favorite games that inspired you to make Fragpunk?
就是在我们的游戏里面有看到像 CS:GO 或者瓦罗兰特这种对抗性英雄射击的影子，然后同样也可以看到就是有一些英雄的技能可能是跟 Apex 会比较接近。那其实我们在设计 Frag 的时候，灵感来源主要是什么游戏，或者说有没有参考什么游戏？
很难说也会有一个非常喜欢的游戏。实际上，这些游戏我们都很喜欢。我们开发团队都是这些游戏的狂热的粉丝，我们他们玩的非常的多。但是很难说是特别喜欢其中一个游戏。但我们只是想去做一个比较独特的玩法的游戏，其实就是想做好我们自己，因为我们这个卡牌系统改变了竞技游戏的战斗体验，想给竞技游戏里加入一些随机性，这个点我认为是其他游戏没有去尝试的。然后我们在做这样一个尝试，然后对，我们想 focus 在这一点上啊。
Actually, I cannot name certain games that as an example for our games because all of our teams are avid FPS players and we love to play all kinds of FPS games and especially for those competitive games. And in designing the Frag, what we're trying to do is to provide a very unique approach of our own to the competitive FPS genres. And by adding the card systems to it, we can add the randomness and the varieties to make the game more replayable. And I believe that this was never done before. And we would like to give the players a try on our games.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's been done to this degree before. So you speak about competitiveness. We do see that some cards give a very clear advantage. How will this be balanced?
就是确实这个是我们从来没有提到过的，但是同样的有一些卡片可能会带来非常强大的优势。这种平衡性上面的问题，我们是要怎么解决的？
这是一个挺好的问题，这是一个非常好的问题。对，确实有些牌是比较强，有些牌比较弱，所以我们给了每张牌一个费用，一个就是你需要去投入一定的点数才能激活这张牌。强的牌它费用要求的高，然后低的牌费用要求的低。所以你需要去。这是一种策略选择，就是大家的钱是差不多的，两边的钱是差不多的，所以你需要去选择，你是一口气投入到一张牌激活同一个牌，然后比如投入5点激活同一个牌，还是说投入2点激活2张稍微弱一点的牌。其实这是一种就是我感觉它会达到一种平衡性，因为你的资源是一样的，只是最终选择的牌不一样。
Okay, I'm really glad you asked this question. It was really interesting. And in dealing with this, it is natural that the cards will have its advantages and disadvantages. But what we're doing is to give a cost to each card. So different cards will have different costs according to their powerfulness. So that means the more cost a card will cost, the tokens, the more powerful it will be. And the less powerful cards may cost less tokens, and so this is kind of economic decisions for your teams to make. So whether you would like to place all your bets and invest all your tokens in a single game, or you want to save some tokens for the next game.
对，虽然两边的牌是不一样的，但是他们的经济是差不多的，这样保证他们。对，资源是差不多的，然后他们只需要去想如何管理这个资源。
Yeah, and both teams will have similar resources to invest in the cards. So all they have to do is to decide which card to use.
Okay, so is it kind of like the Valorant and CS:GO economics, where you select your weapon, but now you select cards?
就是它跟瓦罗兰特或者 CS:GO 里面的那个枪械经济系统是比较接近的嘛，只是我们这次把枪换成了卡牌。
不是啊。
Like it's not with real money, but it's with, let's say you get more kills in a game, you get more tokens to spend.
对，就是它是跟游戏里面的一个经济系统结合在一起的，对吗？
对，它确实是跟你游戏里的行为去做一个绑定。比如说，你游戏里玩得更好的话，可能你的钱数会多一些。然后游戏里，但如果你可能出现连败的情况，你的钱也会更多一些。然后这个钱会反映到你最终下一轮比赛拥有的总钱数上。
And yes, the tokens is strongly connected to the in-game behavior inside one game. So, For example, if you get a consecutive wins, you will get bonus tokens, and instead, if you lose for several rounds, you will also get compensation tokens.
Thank you. That's very nice. So I personally really love competitive games like this, especially ones with high movement. And I think you did say somewhere that this was going to be very fast. The rounds are 2.7 seconds. I know a lot of people don't like high time to kill. Can you explain why you decided to go the faster route?
就是我们的游戏的 TTK 实际上是非常快的，然后可以解释一下为什么？就是虽然大家很多人可能不太喜欢那么短的 TTK， 但是有没有能不能讲一下，就是你的设计思路是什么？
对，其实我们主要原因吧，如果说一个最重要的原因就是短 TTK 它玩起来很爽，因为我们其实在研发的时候，我们尝试了比较长的 TTK 是比现在会更长，或者长1倍、长2倍以上，但我们会发现，在长 TTK 下，整个击杀的反馈会变得比较差，就是你并不会感觉特别爽，当你完成一个击杀的时候，就是虽然确实这个挫败感比较强，但是你获得击杀的正向反馈也是非常强，它是一个，对它都会变得很强，
So why we choose such a very short TTK is because we believe that the short TTK will actually give you more excitement, especially during the intense gunfight. And when we are developing these mechanics, actually we have tried the long TTKs. But however, although it will give you more time to deal with your enemies, but we don't think that is a good idea because it will not grant you the similar amount of excitement as the short TTK.
同时还有一个原因是因为我们其实比较希望玩家的个人能力可以比较大的影响战局，就是如果你一个人比较强的话，你可以带动全队，你可以 carry 全队。如果 TTK 越长的话，其实这个比重会占得越小，就是你越不太可能去带领团队变赢带领团队取得胜利。
Yeah, and we also would like to provide a space for the very good, excellent players to show their leadership and to carry the whole team. But this was only available in the short TTK environment.
All right, well, I guess you're going to find out if you can actually be the one to clutch it. You can wishlist Fragpunk on Steam or Xbox Series right now. And stay tuned because there's more Gamescom Studio coming up. But right now, let's go ahead and check out these trailers.
Hey, my name is Justin Miersch, lead game and level designer for Project Z Beyond Order. Project Z is a thrilling first-person zombie shooter with robust character progression and weapon customization. Set around World War II, you will take on fast-paced missions as one of 4 survivors, each with their own unique abilities and roles in co-op, so every player can choose the character that best suits their playstyle. In Project Z, you are trying to escape the secret island Breitengrad 77, controlled by Colonel Walter, the villain in our alternative world. You start together in the Hideout, a central hub in the game where you can accept missions, buy, sell and customize weapons, as well as upgrade your character. But that's not all. You also have the option to design your hideout according to your preferences along with your friends, provided that you have found enough resources and blueprints during missions or in free roam mode. We have also put a special emphasis on adding weapons and attachments that existed as prototypes or concepts whenever possible. This gives our alternate universe a fresh twist and offers you the opportunity to constantly discover something new. Plus, it gives you a range of weapons to kill zombies with. Project Z will launch on Steam, Xbox and PlayStation, so wishlist the game today and follow our social channels for all the latest Project Z news.
This is Wild Bastards, the next roguelike strategy FPS from the team here at Blue Manchu. Each of our 13 outlaws feature unique weapons and abilities that can all be improved through the use of permanent mods we call aces. Aces can be found as you explore planets, so collect them, return to your ship and level up your outlaws. You goddamn son of a... There are 3 types of aces. Charged aces that apply a specific bonus when your outlaw is rested or charged. Core aces that unlock specific traits for your character. The majority of aces you discover let you choose one of 3 special traits to level up your outlaw. So you might be able to leap onto roofs with Roswell. Now, where were we? Let's take a look at Preach. So starting at level 2, we have 1 ace. Faith. This takes our armor to 0 but increases health by 80. This is Preach at level 2. Her Gatling gun's got a slow spin up time and there's a bit of spread on her fire, so you really have to concentrate on enemies to be effective. But let's see what happens when we level her up. First choice I'm going to make is Healer. So Preach is going to recover 100 health and she's also going to give her partner 100 health after a showdown. Next, Brimstone looks great with its burning damage. Sharding, so that now she gets explosive damage as well on each of her bullets. Powered Gatling to reduce that spin up time we looked at earlier. And lastly, just to focus on the damage, I'm going to go with Shooter Plus to give me 40 extra ammo. Let's take her for a spin. The combination of explosive rounds, burning, faster spin up, more ammo, means that I can easily handle any of these enemies. Now that we've looked at aces, which are how you permanently level up your outlaw, they will also work in combination with mods which you collect and use per sector. In this case, I've given Preach some homing bullets and a jetpack.
My soul is armored in righteousness. These boys is just dressing up.
Damn if I can't look away. I'm getting my boots on.
Well, that just about wraps us up for day 1 of Gamescom here on IGN. If you missed any of our gameplay deep dives, trailers, interviews, all that good stuff, go check out IGN.com and IGN's YouTube page and get up to speed on all the biggest stuff going on here at Gamescom.
But before we go, would you like to discover the contents of Gamescom and receive cool rewards at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah? All right, well then check out Gamescom Epics. Prove your nerd know-how, solve tricky puzzles, gather the digital trading cards, and jump from level to level until the final boss spawns. Solve all the quests and grab all the fantastic rewards, search for Gamescom Epics, or scan the QR code on the screen and the adventure can begin.
I can't wait. And if you need something to look forward to, we've got another full day of awesome video game coverage tomorrow, where we'll be sitting down with the folks behind Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, plus checking in on the massive new sequel, Kingdom Come Deliverance. After that, we'll be shooting across the galaxy to check in on Star Wars Outlaws, and then we're heading into the heart of Chernobyl with Stalker 2. All that and so much more right here on Gamescom Studio.
But for now, thank you all so much for watching IGN's live coverage of Gamescom 2024. We can't wait to see you back here tomorrow.
IGN store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed it. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on Cinefix, IGN, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Why so serious?